your packet already.
What was the first one again?
Excuse me?
Safe assured. Safe assured.
Safe assured.
Safe assured, yes, if we could add that as the last item at 9:30 under county administrator, please.
Move for approval of the amended agenda, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. County board meetings are broadcast live and video recorded on YouTube. Please restrain from speaking from the audience area and come to the podium so that viewers can hear you. The county board observes the Robert Rules of Order for its meetings, so please obtain the board's chair consent before addressing the county board. Public comments are generally reserved for open forum segment or public hearings. However, public comments on the agenda may be allowed at the discretion of the board chair. As we begin today's meeting, please turn your cell phones to off or on vibrate. Thank you. Open forum. Corey Willman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. And
Morning.
And Commissioners. My
Morning.
name is Deputy Corey Willman. I'm with Benton County Sheriff's Office. I represent the Deputies Union. I'm the steward for their association. I'm just here to talk a little bit about the senior position that the pay and comp study funded in the middle of last year when the pay and comp study was done. We know the position was first recommended in the middle of last summer, so to give us something to look forward to try to increase pay a little bit, to try to help some recruitment and retention issues that we were having. And then in September, it was formally approved, and we were told that the job description was being written by the company DDA to be provided for the sheriff. That job description wasn't given to him until about December 15th or so. So it seemed to take several months to get that job description done, and it almost mimics the regular deputy sheriff position anyhow. There's very few differences between the two. And then in January, the Human Resources Department here needed to create the promotional evaluation form, which was worked on starting, I would assume, sometime in January, like I said. And then that was given to us by the sheriff to get our input on it on February 25th. So this position that was created for us through the pay and comp study in the middle of last year is still not been implemented yet. We've got everything we think worked out between our union and the sheriff to try to get it done. We agree on some issues that had to come up, like one of the issues that we didn't think about that came up was we're creating a new classification within our union which changes or could potentially change our seniority list. Well, we wanted to make sure that wasn't going to happen. So we came up to an agreement that we think we have a way that we can do that. So I guess what I'm here to say is we're the only group that was in the pay and comp study middle of last year that hasn't seen a dime yet. So I guess my request would be to, once the promotions do occur to the senior deputy position, ask to be back paid to the first pay period of the year, which would start on January 11th. I believe the monies were budgeted for the full year anyhow, and we're just the only group that hasn't seen any of that money from the study you did for us yet, so.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks.
Thank you, Corey.
Tom Half.
Tom Half, I'm a resident of Sauk Rapids. I came to talk to you guys about the 5-year road project for in front of Mayhew Lake Road there for the school. I suggest that we vote no on that for the school. Bergstrom, he made a monster out there, and he said that with all the new buildings and everything like that going up out there, that the traffic's going to be outrageous and stuff like that. And basically that people don't know how to make left turns and stuff like that. They decided to build that stuff there. They built that. They want to build that child development school on property that was a park at first. They had property over on Golden Spike Road, but they decided to put it over there and create more traffic over there. So I'm just asking that we don't do that. I read Chris Bird's article here, and Chris was flying all over the place from county to federal to city to try to find money for that. But you know, Chris is the greatest roundabout builder in Benton County. Boy, anything that needs to be done, a roundabout will fix it. So, but also I wanted to ask you guys for a pay raise. I see that everybody else got pay raises. Troy Heck and a bunch of the other county people got pay raises, and the only way I'm gonna get a pay raise is if you help cut my taxes and stuff. So I was just wondering if I could get some of that. And I was wondering if you guys have gone to the grocery store lately and seen how much it costs to go to the grocery store. At the food shelf last year, we distributed 1.67 million pounds of food to the people of Benton County out there. We're spending money like drunken sailors here in the county, and it's just crazy how we can just continue to spend and spend and spend other people's money and stuff. I really liked Monty's article the other day. That's what spurred me actually to come out today, was reading that article and stuff. So I can't believe you guys got in bed with the school and stuff like that. I thought you guys were a separate entity and stuff like that. You jumped in with that Bergstrom. He looks just like our governor. Looks just like Tampon Tim. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. So, but I was just I was reading the park shelter article too in the paper, and I see that we built that with taxpayer money, and now all of a sudden, as a taxpayer, I can't even use it unless I pay a fee. Wasn't that already paid for with taxpayer money? So we're going to pay a fee for that. So, guys, and I went through my paycheck the other day, and they take 30% right out of my paycheck, right off the top, and did a little number checking. By the time I get all done, I'm paying over 50% of my paychecks going right for taxes and everything else that's going on out there today. I just appreciate a little bit of consideration on part of the taxpayer out there with the money spending and stuff like that. And as far as the new building that we want to build over there, I was reading that article the other day, and we need thicker bulletproof glass. They're all afraid. Well, who are they afraid of? They're afraid of the taxpayer. You go over there to that building over there, and you get treated like you're a criminal before you're even. I thought I was not guilty until proven guilty. Maybe the taxpayer needs a little more bulletproof glass to protect us from them. Okay, we're not guilty until we're proven guilty. So, and I don't think we should be spending any more money on a new building. I like this building. It's really nice. So I appreciate your time and stuff today, but spending other people's money is just getting out of control and stuff. So appreciate your time.
Right.
And if you got any questions, I'd be here to answer them after the meeting. So,
All right,
thank
thanks
you.
for your input.
Thank you.
Tim Adelman?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm here to talk to you guys about County Road 25. I know that last year it was decided to do an overlay. I believe the county's going to take care of that. The reason for the overlay was because of the solar that's going in there. And that's like 5 years down the road when that's done. But I guess I'm here to ask that you consider starting to study. I know it takes 5 years to move to build a road, get a new road constructed. So I'm here to ask that you guys consider starting that now so that in 5 years, when the solar is completed, that it's ready to go. Pushing it down the road 5 more years after the solar's done, well, you're looking at 10 years. The cost is only going to go up. And so my suggestion is to start the process now so that in 5 years, when the solar's ready, it can be done. And I don't know when the last time a road study's been done on that road as far as traffic, but in the summer, you're looking at there's a dump truck, whether it's a semi or a regular dump truck, it goes by. I would say within every 10 minutes you got a dump truck going by during the summer, and there's a lot of other traffic too because I think that a lot of people use that road to get to Highway 10 instead of going to St. Cloud from 23. So there's quite a bit of traffic on that road in the summer. That's about all I got. Thank you.
Okay,
Any questions?
thanks. You bet.
Okay.
So we got the consent agenda items 1 through 8. What's your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 8. All in favor?
Hang on.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I,
Oh, oops, go ahead.
I wanted to pull consent agenda item 5 and 6.
Okay. Sorry, Tim.
That's okay.
So can we amend your motion?
I'll amend.
I'll amend the second also.
So the consent agenda's been amended to, we'll pull items 5 and 6 and approve 1 through 4 and 7 and 8. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Commissioner Bonnet.
Consent agenda number 5. Yeah. I just have a question, for Kristen on the attorney's feedback on this. Were those things corrected in the contract?
The attorney's recommendations from Michelle, the memo, no, they are not. Typically, what we've seen in the past with EMPG funding and state grants is that they won't make those amendments. So often, if we want the grant, it's as is. This one's the 2023 grant, so the 2022 grant would have been signed as it's presented to you today as well.
And
Okay.
I can mention, we've been getting this grant for at least 2 decades. Right?
And this
Yeah,
is the
it's a
matched
very
grant.
old grant, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes,
There's
I
no
believe.
match requirement that I'm aware of.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Monty, then why is our county attorney looking at these and noting them up if nothing's ever changed?
I think it's a fair question we could pose to Kathy at some point.
Okay.
It's unlike, the state's always been unwilling to change their agreements, and I can virtually guarantee we'll take the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's a good question, yeah.
But this is a match grant.
I didn't think it was, but I'm not aware that we have a match requirement.
Well, on page 2, it says original agreement was $25,285 with match requirement of $25,285.
Oh,
Which we pull typically out of salaries. So for
That's-
this grant, we use this to offset my salary, and we submit a payroll report to them.
That's the match then.
Yep, correct.
Payroll. Okay.
It's not like we're
So it's a
matching.
match, it's not it's a match in words.
Okay,
Okay. So you want to take that one and make a motion if you're.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 5.
Second.
Motion been made to second to approve agenda item number 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Number 6.
And is Chris online?
I believe Chris is with us up on GoTo, yeah, there he is.
On 6, our paperwork all states that this is 100% complete. But if you go to the second page on here, it says it's 97.4% complete on this job. Is that now complete after that, or?
That difference is the 97% complete is a mathematical calculation based on the final pay when compared to the original contract amount. So yeah, the physical work is 100% complete, but dollar-wise, it's only 97% of the original contract amount.
All right, that answered my question. I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 6.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve consent agenda item number 6. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Roxanne from Land Services.
All right, good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna pull up a map here very quickly. Should I share it on GoTo, or is that good enough? What we have before you is an amendment to our development code in relation to the cannabis facilities, cannabis cultivation and testing facilities, manufacturing, cultivation and testing facilities in our ag district. We had set a setback that was 660 feet from the property line of where that cannabis facility was to the property line of a parcel which has a dwelling on it. So if we take that into consideration, that now creates a very extensive setback. So for example, if someone were to place one of those facilities on this T-shaped parcel, you can see that there are dwellings highlighted in pink that are on parcels where the parcel line is within 660 feet of the parcel line of one of those facilities. And so this would not be allowed even if there was a dwelling, or due to the fact that there's a dwelling that may be on the complete opposite end of a parcel, and that could be thousands of feet away. So rather than measuring property line to property line, we felt it was appropriate to measure this very similar to the way that we measure feedlots, and that it would be from the nearest point of the facility, 660 feet to the nearest dwelling. And so that brings us to our next, and you can see that when I put that 660 feet buffer around each of the dwellings, that reduces that setback significantly, and it now makes more of these parcels a lot more feasible to place structures on. And this came up from somebody who was interested in potentially having some cannabis cultivation, and he said, you know that your ordinance makes it almost impossible to find a property. And when I did go through and tried to figure out if that really was true, I did find that was pretty consistent in that it makes the majority of parcels unable to be developed for any sort of cannabis use. So we are requesting and suggesting that 660 feet be changed from cannabis facility nearest point to the nearest point of the dwelling or other cannabis facility. And I did present this to the Planning Commission on March 13th. There was a public hearing, there were no comments, and the Planning Commission did recommend bringing this forward to the county board for another public hearing.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
We'll save it for when we have the public comment, okay? The next item on our agenda is to consider a public hearing for ordinance number 499, amending the Benton County Development Code Ordinance 477 to modify setbacks requirement for cannabis testing, cultivation, and manufacturing. Before we open the public hearing, do we have any other staff reports?
No.
If the applicant is present or a representative is here, please come to the podium and state your name.
That's me.
That's you? Okay. We'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the county board on this agenda item? If so, please come to the podium and give us your name and address. Anybody here or online, I guess we could do too. Anybody want to address the public here or online? Okay. Final call for anyone wishing to have public testimonies. Seeing none, we'll now close the public hearing. Are there any emails, letters, or communications to be read?
No.
Has the department received any concerns from state agencies, cities, or any other entities? If an official action was required by an affection, was there action? No.
No.
Okay. The county board will now have time to discuss. The county board will now have time for questions and staff and discussion. As reminder to the audience, the public hearing portion is closed. Are there any questions, comments from board members before we take this action? Okay.
Roxanne, the only question I have is if this is changed, what does it do to those adjacent parcels if somebody comes in and wants to build on those adjacent parcels?
For example, if someone wants to build on this parcel?
Yeah, on the parcels on the outside, are they going to be required to move their structure that far away from it?
So let's say, for example, if somebody were to construct in this corner on the parcel here, there would be a 660 setback for the adjacent parcel. It is very similar to a feedlot. So if a feedlot were located here, they would need to be 660 feet from that feedlot, from the nearest corner of the feedlot. So it'd be very
it's
similar.
reciprocal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, whoever's there first, more or less.
Right.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to move to approve ordinance number 477 to modify the setback requirements for cannabis testing, cultivation, and manufacturing facilities as presented.
I will second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Go ahead.
All right, so the next item is a public hearing on the 2025 solid waste facility licenses for Waste Management, Republic Services, or the Minden Transfer Station, Hinkemeyer Landfill, Tri-County Organics, and Tom Kramer Inc. And so this is an annual license approval by the county board. We had no violations that we had to deal with last year, and they're all in good standing with the MPCA. And with this, generally, the board establishes a requirement minimum of 1.5 million in liability insurance and a $10,000 bond for each of these facilities. And we would ask that that be part of the motion that's made today after the public hearing. And then Hinkemeyer Landfill has paid in the maximum amount into the test well closure. And so they are not paying into that anymore. They've paid in what they can statutorily. And then I do believe a number of the applicants are here today if there are any questions on any of their applications.
So we'll now conduct a public hearing on the 2025 solid waste facility license for Waste Management, Public Service, Minden Township Transfer Station, Hinkemeyer Landfill, Sand Hill Organics, doing business as Tri-County Organics LLC, and Tom Kramer Incorporated, doing business as Eastside Transfer and Recycling. And we've heard from staff on the staff report from public hearings. So if the applicants or applicant are here and they want to have representation, please come to the podium and state your name and address. Do you have any comments or anything? Okay. We'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the county board on this agenda item? If so, please come to the podium and state your name and address. Anyone that wants to come to the podium and state your name and address, or online, if there's anybody online, we'll take them too. Final call for anyone wishing to address the county board for testimony, and seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any emails, letters, or communications to be read?
No.
Has the department didn't receive anything from townships or cities or anything?
Nope.
Okay. The county board will now have time for questions from the staff and discussion. As a reminder from the audience, the public hearing is closed. Are there any questions or comments from the board members on this agenda item?
One quick question, Roxanne. You said that, I think you said Hinkemeyer maxed out on their contribution. What is that number? Do you know? Happen to know?
I'm sorry, I do not have that in front of
fine.
me. I want to say it's 115,000, we might.
127,000.
127?
We'll look it up and let you know specifically,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I could real quickly, we have not received the license application fee, from Waste Management. And there was a mix up with the address. I think they were not using the PO box, so it did not get here in time. So I just want to make sure that, just stating that their license is contingent on receiving that. And I suspect it may even be in our mailbox today.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Waste Management, Republic Services, and Hinkemeyer Landfill licenses.
Is there a second?
Was Tom Kramer in there?
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Kramer.
Tom Kramer, and doing business as Eastside Transfer.
Yeah.
You include them in your motion?
All of the licensees
Okay.
for.
Here we go. I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
One more motion, just to set the surety bond and insurance.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
it's been moved and second to set the insuring bond and license.
Oh,
Anybody, any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
You good? Thanks, Roxanne.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Next era will be up next.
HDMI works great. Good morning. My name is Adam Grassi. I'm a senior project manager with NextEra Energy Resources and the developer for the Benton Solar Project. So just wanted to meet with you all today to give a brief project update and discuss the next steps between the project and the county for ongoing coordination prior to construction and operation of the project. So I know a lot of everyone in the room is familiar with the overall project, but again, it's a 100 megawatt solar project located in Minden Township. There's also a 100 megawatt 4-hour energy storage system that will be connected to the solar project. And both the solar project and the battery facility will share a half-mile transmission line, 115 kilovolt transmission line that's located entirely on Great River Energy's property and connect to the Benton County substation that Great River Energy owns. Here's our preliminary site plan. This was shown in our public utilities site and route permit application. So on the left, you see the solar site plan, and then on the right, that's our transmission route. Neither one of these have changed over the last 6 to 9 months. And again, these are available to the public in our state permit application. We are still on track for 2027 operations of the project. So right now we are in our state permitting process. Towards the end of this year, we're going to start procuring the equipment that we intend to use on the site. And then at the end of the year, we're anticipating a final decision from the Public Utilities Commission on both the battery and solar site as well as the transmission route. With a favorable decision from Public Utilities Commission, we would aim to start construction in the spring of 2026 and be in service by the end of the year 2027. Here's a more detailed breakdown on the Public Utilities Commission schedule. So we're about halfway through this schedule right now. So I know a few of you in the room were at our environmental scoping meetings that we held in Sauk Rapids back in January. So since then, they've closed the written comment period for the project, and EERA is working on the scope of the environmental assessment, so that we expect that to be issued at the end of this month. So the scope of the environmental assessment just sets the parameters for the research that EERA is going to do as they are developing the environmental assessment that they're going to issue in July. So they take in all the concerns and the comments that they got in the public comment period, dig into the impacts that the project will have on those concerns, and then issue the environmental assessment, which often includes recommendations to the commission for the project to take. There will be a set of public hearings in August of this year, and then we expect the administrative law judge to issue a report on their findings on our application, and then the Public Utilities Commission to make a decision on the permit in December of this year. So what we wanted to focus on today was kind of the next steps for Benton Solar and how we intend to work with Benton County in the near future. So I heard some talk about the road use for the solar project earlier this morning. So one of our next steps is to begin drafting our road use agreement with the county. So that road use agreement will cover the haul routes that we intend to use to bring the equipment and materials to the site. Also cover, the roads that we intend to use during construction. So what the impacts of that would be on traffic and ensuring that the safety needs and requirements of the county are being met during construction. And then that last bullet there is probably the one that's of the most interest is the road use, repair, and improvement, right? So the haul route and our road use agreement is going to designate the roads that we intend to use. And then in the road use agreement, we're going to clearly outline our plan to assess the roads prior to construction, and then assess the roads after construction and make sure that the roads are at the same condition before and after construction. So any damage that is done is incurred by Benton Solar to fix any repairs that are needed as a result of the solar project. Our next item that we would like to continue coordination on is the visual screening plan. So again, that was the source of a lot of the comments that we got during the public comment period. So our intention is to follow the Benton County ordinance, and right now we're working on finalizing that visual screening plan and working on some visual mock-ups. So our goal here is to work with Roxanna Planning and Zoning and with the county to make sure that when we do a visual mock-up of what we are interpreting the ordinance to be, to make sure that actually meets the needs of the community in the county. So just to make sure that we're on the same page prior to starting construction on this project. And then lastly, the decommissioning financial assurance plan. So in our site permit application, Appendix E is our decommissioning plan. And one of the things that it states that Benton Solar will do is that we will identify, agree upon, and provide a means of financial surety to Benton County for the decommissioning of the project. So the decommissioning plan states that our intention is for Benton Solar to be the party that decommissions the project. However, there have been other projects where there are concerns that the company could go out of business or won't be around in 25 years to do that. Obviously, that's not our intention, but the purpose of this financial assurance plan is to make sure that the county is insured against that happening and is the beneficiary should Benton Solar not be able to fulfill the decommissioning duties. So this is typically a permit condition from the Public Utilities Commission prior to construction. So that would be coming in their final order in December. However, we do want to start those conversations earlier so that we're all on the same page before that happens. Here's a few more details on the decommissioning plan. Again, this is in our site permit application in Appendix E. And the objective of the decommissioning is to ensure the site is restored to the pre-construction conditions at the end of the project's useful life, so about 25 to 30 years. Again, the costs are borne by Benton Solar with the financial insurance plan in place. And we intend to update the plan prior to construction and then every 5 years during operation. Another question that we commonly get is what else could cause decommissioning if the project just sits idle? What then? So decommissioning is triggered if the site permit expires and is not renewed, so there'll be a time limit on our Public Utilities Commission permit. And then also if the construction is halted for over 12 months for whatever reason, then we no longer have the permit. We need to decommission the project. And then if we don't generate electricity for 12 consecutive months, the project is not operating as it should, and it is on us to decommission and restore the site. No, I know I've showed this slide a few times, but again, just want to highlight the benefits of the project to Benton County and to Minden Township. So it is a substantial investment in Benton County. We're expecting 150 to 300 temporary construction jobs and 2 to 3 full-time operations jobs. In addition to the compensation for participating landowners, we're also paying pretty significant property taxes to the community, or to Benton County and to Minden Township. So we estimate $200,000 a year in solar production tax and to Benton County and $50,000 per year to Minden Township. The tax breakdown is set by the Minnesota Department of Revenue for solar energy production. So we pay based on the energy that is produced by the site. And then again, on the charitable contributions to local organizations, that's something we want to continue doing through development and operation of this project. Just this morning, we were over at the Sheriff's Department doing a check presentation, and we donated $12,000 for them to upgrade their radios in order to be in state compliance for the encryption on their radios. So that's something we want to continue to do, like I said, throughout the life of the project.
Thank you.
And that was all I had. I believe you all have my contact information, but happy to answer any questions if you have any right now.
Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, Adam, thanks for the presentation. That 200,000 and then 50,000, did that go down? Because I thought that was higher before.
So it's based on our assessment of the megawatt hours produced by the project. So those do change, right? We have a analytics team that says based on the solar resource and the size of the project, what our estimated production is per year.
Okay.
So the Department of Revenue says it's going to be $1.20 for every megawatt hour produced.
Okay.
So that's how we got those numbers.
All right.
So.
Mr. Chair, so along that line, Adam, so do you see that fluctuating a lot year to year?
That was my question.
It can. I mean, that is what when we do our analysis of it, right, that's going to be the average, because when we're doing this, we're also looking over the 30-year life of the project, right? I think the change between, you know, the last time we saw those numbers and now is a change in our assumptions and our ability to, you know, come up with a realistic average based on other operating projects. There shouldn't be a significant fluctuation, but again, it is, there would be some variance.
Are you talking
yeah.
200 to 190, or are you talking 200 to 110? Don't,
That's-
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not holding you to the number.
No,
I'm just trying to find
Because
out
I
what
think the
you're.
original numbers
Yeah.
were in the 400s.
Right.
Or close to it at least.
Yeah, so it's a significant drop.
Yeah. I can get a better answer for you on the, I can talk to our analytics team and see what our deviation is expected to be year to year and
Yeah.
provide that to you.
That'd be
Mr.
great.
Chair, a couple more questions. Does PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, set that bond amount based on your project? Who's setting the bond amount?
So the bond amount is outlined in our decommissioning plan. So it's the cost to decommission minus the salvage value of the project. So that bond amount is it will change, right, every 5 years.
Do you know what that bond amount is going to start out at?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look in the decommission plan and find that number for
Okay.
you.
And second, last question, any update on phase 2?
Phase 2 still on track to be at least a year behind phase 1 in St. George Township. We're still finalizing our land for the second phase of the project, so working with a few landowners to get easements. And then our hope would be to be permitting that project by the end of this year.
And then in regards to phase 2, are you still in a position where you wouldn't be looking at going north of County 50?
Correct.
Just,
Go ahead.
so I got a couple questions. One is that almost 100% of this land is leased, correct?
Correct.
So would it make a difference on your decommissioning and that if you own the property and then, you know, it would give you the option to walk away and tax forfeit it? Versus leasing, you know, if you're leasing and the value of the land's gonna go up. And, you know, the people that own the land would still be paying the taxes and everything else. Where if you guys owned it, you know, what I'm getting at is the one up in the western part of the county, that is owned by a power company now.
Okay.
And so if they up and agreed to walk away and let it go to tax forfeited property, the county would be stuck to clean that up, correct?
If we own the land,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that would work, to be honest with you.
That was some
We don't-
questions that
yeah.
came up
Okay, that's a
on
great
that.
question. I can,
Yeah.
I'll look into
I
that
mean,
and get
you
you
know,
a
there's a
better answer,
difference.
but-
If you got a family entity that's still owning that property and they walk away, well, they're more apt to clean it up and say, well, now I can sell it to somebody else. You know, because what I see is the cleanup is, yeah, it's substantial, but not impossible to clean it up and put it back to the original site. Actually, it's pretty easy when you're not pouring concrete and all the other stuff that goes with it. So I think that, the other question I had, do you know how many comments you had after that, were written comments after that meeting in Sauk Rapids?
I don't know the exact number. The majority of the written comments were about visual screening and property value impacts.
Yeah.
We're also updating our economic impact study as well to answer the property value questions and look at the overall economic benefits of the project,
Right.
even outside of the landowners who are participating. So we're working
Well,
on refreshing that
and
study.
if you're
as
doing
well.
the economic impact, you know, I mean, this rent is substantial and that's an impact to the county too, because these people are definitely gonna spend money.
Yep.
Oh, do you have something
Mr.
else?
Chair, and just, I thank you for bringing up the screening issue. I know that was brought up heavily at the Sauk Rapids thing, and that's something I think for myself and probably the majority of the board, that's the biggest thing we hear. Of course, a lot of people are still in the position they don't want it, which we get, but PUC is permitting this, as we all now know. And I know that NextEra has commented that they're gonna follow the county ordinance, but I guess my hope is that they're gonna go a few steps beyond that, because I think that's been something that's been highlighted heavily in public hearings.
Yep, and that's the purpose of providing the visual mock-ups as
Yep.
well, so that, you know, we'll make sure we're looking at the same ordinance and interpreting it the same way and making sure that meets the needs of the county.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Adam, when you look at phase 1 and phase 2, the dollar amounts for the taxes were just based on phase 1.
Correct.
Would the assumption be double that for phase 2?
Correct. It'd be the same size project.
Okay.
The
okay,
solar resource and assessment will be about the same, so.
All right, thank you.
I have one question.
sure, go ahead.
So, and I've asked for this before, not necessarily from you, but from other companies. Is it possible to get an SDS report on the build of the panel themselves? And I know that you go through several companies, different companies, but they're all built the same with pretty much the same stuff in them. So I would like to get a copy of an SDS, a safety data sheet for those.
Understand. We can provide that to you when we have procured the equipment, so when we've decided the vendor that we're going to use it. Like I said, that's going to be towards the end of this year. We can also, I can ask if we can get you a list of what we, SDS from preferred vendors as well, so someone that we'll likely choose.
Okay, thanks.
I guess my one final question is that, you know where federal government's going? Is this all locked in place, or is there still room for, might not happen?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. One, this project is not relying on federal grants or federal permits, so that's the recent executive orders don't have a direct impact on this project. We also, budget our projects to be with and without federal grants. So,
Okay.
Yes, we intend to move forward regardless of
Okay.
recent
All right.
executive orders.
Thanks. And then, Monty, do we need a motion to accept the resolution that's on the back of the page? Or
Yeah, me either.
We have picked up on the copy machine.
oh, yeah? Okay.
Double copy.
I didn't see one.
Okay, all right.
I don't have that on the back of mine, so I'm sorry.
We do on ours. Unless you want to do it twice, right?
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, Monty, Great River Regional Library.
Got it, okay. You're good. All right. Yeah. Karen is here.
Welcome, Karen.
Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you can just minimize this go-to screen. Yeah.
And then that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought Jerry was leaving too.
PowerPoint's trying to be extra helpful today. All right. Good morning. I'm Karen Punsack. I'm the Executive Director at Great River Regional Library. And I have our staff member, Jen Thompson from the St. Cloud Library. She'll introduce herself when she gets to that part of the presentation. We are a 6-county system. Benton County is one of our strong partners. And in that 6-county system, we have 32 libraries. Our headquarters is in St. Cloud, but we go from Staples to Delano and Foley to Belgrade. So quite a wide range of services that we offer. Last year, we had a really successful year. We're coming out of the pandemic. We didn't quite hit 100,000 cardholders. We're almost there. At the beginning of this year, I think we were at 99 something, so it's climbing. We had over 1 million people through our doors last year across the entire system, and lots of different ways that people are using the library. The 3 main service points for Benton County residents are the St. Cloud Public Library, the Foley Public Library, and then Sartell's Locker, GRL to go. That locker is located in the Sartell Community Center. Last time I was here, we talked a little bit about where people are using the library from Benton County and what does that look like. You can see the breakout on this slide. We had over 2 million physical items circulated across the region and almost 500,000 out of the digital library. So that library usage continues to grow. It hasn't quite surpassed the use in the St. Cloud Library, but it's getting closer and closer every year. The main service points, Foley, Sartell, and St. Cloud, you can see have a pretty substantial number of borrowers, but the breakout below is a little more of a snapshot of where Benton County borrowers are actually going. One of the things that's notable is 70% of the people from Benton County actually use our largest location, the St. Cloud Public Library. That library, if you haven't been in it, is enormous. All the other libraries would fit inside. So they have great access to a really phenomenal resource in downtown St. Cloud. The other thing that's notable is while Sartell Locker GRL to go is only 1% of the borrowers, it makes up 10% of the people actually using Sartell. So it's a substantial resource as well. It's on the other side of the river, but the city of Sartell pays for the majority of that service. So it's interesting to see the level of usage out of that location. Our borrowers in Benton County are kind of all over the board in terms of how old they are. We have a lot of younger users. I know Terry out in Royalton has a pretty good partnership with the Rice Elementary School to do sign up there. And then we also are seeing a good level of use from, the 30 to 45 range, which are your younger parents and people who have kids. It's interesting to see how the breakout looks from one county to the next. Benton County in particular, you see a lot of younger people come into the library. And last year we hit a record regionally. We had 13,000 kids registered across the region for the summer reading program. And then the winter reading program was also very successful. We also have a new youth advisory council that is part of Great River's structure. Ed Pop, your chair, is on our library board, and he's been helpful in giving us guidance on how to set things up. And that youth council presented last year to the board for the first time. So we have representatives from the entire region who meet on a regular basis on Zoom, and then they're informing us on what young people want to see from the library. One of the things that may not be a surprise is they actually want books. They want physical books. They want nice physical books and a nice quiet place to read. So we're looking at really emphasizing those services for our younger people in our next strategic plan. And I'll let Jen tell you more about the fantastic things happening at the St. Cloud Library.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Karen. I am so excited to be here and share some of the amazing things that we are doing at our libraries. I love that stat that she talked about and how 70% of Benton County users utilize the St. Cloud Public Library, because that was me. I grew up in Sauk Rapids, and one of the first core memories that I have is getting on the Metro bus as a little kindergartner or first grader and going to the St. Cloud Public Library and walking into that shadowy building and being just so excited with all the amazing things that were going to go on in that building and all the things that I was going to learn. I have just carried that with me for the 30-ish some years since that point, and I am now so honored to be working at that exact same institution. I worked at the St. Cloud Public Library a few years ago, stepped away, and then just recently came back in January, and I am so honored to be there every day working with our community members and helping them find the things that they need. One of the first days that I was back on the desk, there was a woman that came in, and as I watched her walk up to me, she was just so heavy and tired and run down, and she walked up to me, and I could tell that she was sad. And she came and she interacted with me for a few minutes, and by the end, she was giggling. And she looked at me and she said, "Thank you." I love that we have the ability to create this awesome community with our patrons. I love that when I have an older gentleman that comes up every week and he checks out materials and we chat for a few minutes, that I know that maybe that's the only conversation that he's had with another individual that day. And I love that I'm able to connect with him in that way. I love that we have these printing and internet stations. They are a massive resource to our community. My husband is a commercial truck driver, and he knows that his fellow truck drivers utilize their public libraries to come and print the logs that they need every day. I've worked in positions where people are starting their new jobs and they utilize the public library to print their I-9s and the other documents they need to start their new careers. People are coming in and they're searching for those new jobs. They're looking for apartments. I had a gentleman who was there with his 2 daughters, and he asked me for help finding language learning games so that his little girls could help learn English. There's just so many amazing things that are going on. We also have access to LinkedIn Learning. This is an incredible tool that every individual who has a library card can access. And what it is it's this huge database of resources. I'm currently using it to help brush up on skills for Microsoft Excel. My daughter was taking coding classes at St. Cloud State, and she was using LinkedIn Learning to help offset and, get a step up. And that's a huge benefit to all of our library patrons, because an individual plan is $240 a year. It's free when you have your library card. Library cards are magic. I just love it. And speaking of my husband, with those driving tests that we offer in our collection, every 4 years he has to take that hazmat test. And before we found this tool, we used to sit and make flashcards, and he would sit and try to like cram all the things he already knows in his brain. But whenever he has to sit down and take a test, he's just like, ah! So it's awesome that we have this resource, because now he can sit and he can feel at ease knowing in that when he goes to take that test that he is set and ready to go. My daughter utilized it when she got her ID. And help us all, my son is turning 15 next month, and he is going to be utilizing that exact same service. So in addition to all of these amazing things and all of our incredible books, we've also introduced things like Try It Yourself snowshoes. This is so much fun. I had a little boy just last month, and he came up to me after his dad filled out the waiver, and he was like, "We're going ice fishing this weekend, and I am going to use the snowshoes on the ice." He was so excited. It was just the cutest thing. And we also, I brought this as an example. This is one of our kits. We have so many incredible kits. You can learn how to make jewelry. You can learn how to knit, play the ukulele, frisbee golf, pickleball. This particular kit is for Dungeons and Dragons, and it goes hand in hand with a program that we've been having at the library, which is Dungeons and Dragons Adventure. And it's such a great community builder because people are coming in, they're meeting new people that also want to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and they're spending a night like learning and growing, and then they can check out this amazing kit so that they can go and teach their friends and play too. There's the books inside and the dice and everything. It's very, very cool. I also love one of our programs that's not only at the St. Cloud Public Library, but here in Foley, is Pause to Read. This is the cutest thing ever. It's tiny humans reading books to bunnies and puppies. It's adorable. But what an amazing community service that we have these awesome individuals in our communities who allow their service animals to come into our buildings and let these young minds sit and learn and read and just have their anxieties melt away, because furry friends are never going to judge them with how they're learning to read. Just all these community things and this building. We've had some social workers that have been coming into the St. Cloud Public Library, and this has been an awesome resource for our community members because they're able to come in and ask questions about healthcare, which is confusing, housing assistance, Social Security, disability services. They can come in and they can ask questions, and if they can't get answers to those questions, they can get referrals. So it's just such an amazing resource to help keeping learning and growing. And I know Karen mentioned our digital library a little bit. That's also this incredible service where you can get access to ebooks and audiobooks. And I don't know about any of you, but when I'm trying to like go to the Y and work out on the treadmill, the only thing keeping me going sometime is my audiobook, because it's like, no, Jen, just keep going. Just find out what's going on in that murder mystery. It's going to be great. You're going to do it. I've also heard from a lot of our patrons when they're doing some snowbird things, traveling down to Arizona, they love being able to check out some ebooks on their iPads. And instead of carrying around a bunch of library books that they might not get back in 3 weeks, now they have them right there and they're still able to utilize their public library. And speaking of those iPads, we've also had these things called Tech Time that we've been doing, and they've changed a little bit since we started them. But what's awesome is that our community members can bring in their very own devices, their phones, their iPads, their Kindles. And we have people at the library that can sit down with them and answer their questions and maybe even help them get some of those digital library things and those collections like pulled up on their own devices so that they have them right there at their fingertips. Just continuing a little bit more with some of those electronic things is our Wi-Fi hotspots. And these have been such an amazing resource for our community. And actually, ironically, just last night when I was on the desk, I had a mom come in and she was like, our Wi-Fi's down and it's going to be down for a week. And my son has e-learning on Wednesday and I don't know what to do. And I wish that I had had one for her because these are so popular that right now there's about a 370 person wait limit for them. But they are definitely something that our community members are like, man, we need them, and man, this is amazing. There's just so many awesome things going on at our libraries. Girl Scouts meeting in the meeting rooms, and book clubs and orchestras practicing, septuagenarians going and having a safe place to read the newspaper every day, NA meetings, and the summer reading program. We are about to be bombarded with thousands of children, and it is going to be just awesome and incredible. So thank you so much for helping us just create this community and just grow and be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can
We got a question, Commissioner Kapinski?
Jan, we hold our APO meetings there
That's amazing.
at, I forget what room it is.
Mississippi?
The Mississippi room?
No, it's
Bremer room?
Bremer room.
Ah,
Anyway, what are the chances that we could get upgraded electronics in there so we could actually broadcast those meetings out? I know that got brought up in our last Thursday meeting.
yeah.
So, good question. We would love to have electronics in that room. The St. Cloud Library is owned by the City of St. Cloud, and we have a phenomenal partnership with the City of St. Cloud, but ultimately, it has to be funded with their funds. So we would be open to putting it in there. It's a really great room. I love that
Yeah.
room.
Well, both of them are.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to have a screen instead of a projector in Bremer, but they did work with Marco to upgrade the equipment the last time, but that was right before the pandemic, and that was before hybrid was like a really big deal. So yeah, that'd be the ideal room for
Because
hybrid for sure.
I brought that up and Mayor Anderson was there, so.
Oh, well, maybe, yeah,
I don't
there's
think
an opportunity
he's still
there.
getting into his position, so my
And
guess.
he was on the St. Cloud Library Board, so he has used that room for those meetings as well. So there is opportunities for discussion for sure.
Maybe at our next APO meeting, might not be bad to come in and just explain that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll talk with Brian and maybe see if we can't get you
Yeah, we can
on.
have someone come down and talk about it.
Karen, so we did the lighting and that was in conjunction with the
Right.
city?
So Great River and St. Cloud are the only places where money actually changes hands for library service other than the Sartell Locker. And so 82% of the building is public library and 18% is headquarters space. And so every dollar that gets used for maintaining the building gets split on that 18% split. So Great River would have to fund 18% of that project potentially, but you have to get St. Cloud to be willing to fund the 82. So, but there are, there's opportunities where we could talk about it for
Okay.
sure.
Any other questions?
So the Dungeons and Dragons kit is up there if you wanted to take a look at the stuff inside. There's dice.
Oh, it's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, I was gonna just pass it around, but it was heavier than I thought it was.
Karen, one overview on the funding and stuff. You look at the libraries, we have one actually in Benton County. How does that funding go? Because when you look at our neighboring counties, they have 5 to 8 of them,
So a lot of the buildings.
just for the public. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a 6-county agreement. The agreement says each county pays based on 3 parts of the formula: borrower numbers, population, net tax capacity. The actual number of sites are partially determined by the cities themselves, and most of them have been in existence since Great River was formed in '69. Those that were added later were added with the approval of the Great River Board. And so we look at it as one budget over the entire 6-county system, and people do not have to worry about, are you on the Benton County side of the line or not, when they're borrowing materials, returning materials, or using any of the services. So it's a seamless service, but there's only one physical service point in Benton County if Foley is your place, but most of them are actually using St. Cloud.
Okay.
And Jared, I think part of the was when they built the new library, there was an agreement between like the city of Sauk Rapids and Sartell and that. When I first came on the board, my biggest question was Morrison County with all their libraries, and their funding is actually less than ours. And Karen explained that they were grandfathered in, so.
Yeah, Little Falls was one of the last ones to join in Morrison County, and that was because the Little Falls Library was a holdout when the region was being formed. They didn't want to share the Little Falls collection with anyone outside of the city of Little Falls. But once they saw the St. Cloud Public Library and all the resources that were available if they became part of the region, that was one of the last ones that was added to
There's
the
no
system.
doubt it's a large uptake for the county, to fund the library, but I think Karen has done a really good job in the last 3 to 4 years of upping what they do and catering to what the needs are more than what. So, any other questions? Thanks, Karen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come visit us.
Yeah. Jen would be happy to help you.
I would be more than
Let's see if go-to is still with it.
Go ahead.
Well, let's see, this is on your agenda at the request of a board member who wishes to discuss the status of the government center project. So I'll defer to you all what,
Well, I had Monty put this on there, and as you go through the project and you start looking and you look at where the county sits, I have real concerns about adding more money to the taxpayers' pay, because we got a lot of things that are coming down the pipe, and this is all gonna be done before we do budget. One is, we got the lack of funding coming from the state on some projects that would add a lot more money to the county. Two is we got paid paid family leave. We got contract negotiations coming up. And if this is gonna be a burden on the taxpayers of, double digits or more going forth, I mean, I don't know if I can support that kind of take to the county. I just did my property taxes, and when you look at it, it's like, boy, that's a big uptake for 20 years for me to pay that kind of money. And the base of it is gonna be, it's not gonna be the $300,000 house that's in the city of Rice or city of Sauk Rapids. It's gonna be on our industry, it's gonna be on our agricultural land, it's gonna be on those people to pick up the bulk of this. And right now, things are not that great that we should be adding more tax to the community at this point in time. If everything was known and we were running straight ahead and we knew exactly where it was go, I think it's, it's really a good idea, because we have to do something. Everybody knows that. But boy, it's a tough sled right now. And I've been just, I can't find anybody that I talk to that's like, why are, most big of it is, why are you guys doing this now? Why, what's the deal now? So I don't know. That was why I put it on there, to have some discussion about.
Mr. Chair.
I don't care to see the county go backwards to our 60-70%, where we were in the 60s, 60 and 70 percentile of county taxes for the county. We just got that down to where we're kind of in the middle of the run now. And I got a feeling that this could put us backwards, a few years.
Mr. Chair. Please don't take this the wrong way. Past boards have really put this board in jeopardy. When I took over 4 years ago, I'm in my 5th year, we were struggled with the wage and comp study,
Right,
ditches.
yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on. The past boards didn't put any money into these buildings.
I mean,
So that's one of the things that bothers me right now. I look at what we have to do. If we say no to the building, which I'm fine with, we've got to do something here. And that's what a lot of the taxpayer payers don't know.
Yeah.
We're looking at $500,000 to $700,000 a year just in getting this building up
Oh, yeah.
for many, many years to come. And then when you start renovating these buildings to get things up to code that we're being mandated to do, i.e. the elevators, stuff like that, we lose the ability to use that lower level.
Right.
We don't have any space the way it is. So I'm struggling too. I see all these referendums that went through at Sauk Rapids with Foley,
It's just, you have to be considerate to the taxpayers. And I mean, like I told Monty that day, if we don't move forward with this or something happens to this, we're not gonna put a sign out in front that says closed for business. We still do business as normal. We will have to do something, I will agree with that. But to what degree, I don't know. I don't know, labor's gonna be 3%, probably minimum when we do labor negotiation contract, with 4% on the paid family leave. School districts going on, Foley's had a big levy increase. I just think it's
Another one's the airport authority, which
Yeah.
we didn't have anything to do
yeah,
with.
we didn't have anything to do
Well,
with
you
that.
guys did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'm the only one up here. And I think, if we could do the government center for the $3 or whatever it's gonna be, it'd be, but I mean, the amount of taxpayer dollar that's going to come from this is just beyond what personally, that I would take for the next
Yeah,
20 years.
well, that $3, I think you're referring to Sauk Rapids, right?
Yeah,
That, we all know that that's not $3.
yeah.
There was like $200 coming off the tax roll at the end of 2025. That was not explained the correct way. We've been explaining this at least, and I think Commissioner Johnson's been at the forefront of that, making sure that on an average house, everybody knew what that total dollar amount was. Because it is very important for people to understand that. And I just look at it and go, we're kind of danged if we do and we're danged if we don't.
What's the alternative? But
Mr. Chair, if
timing could be better in my book.
If I could, one of the biggest things I take serious is we do have a fiduciary responsibility to our taxpayers, right? And everything that we do. With that said, I do think it's our responsibility. We've gone through a tremendous amount of time, effort, and cost to put together a potential government center. We're on the verge of trying to get public hearings put together, tours, and an educational time to bring it in front of the public.
Right.
And I think at this point, it would be crazy for us to pull that rug out and not continue to get that information to the public, and let's hear from the public. I don't doubt the public, a lot of the public's gonna be upset, and I understand that. I don't think there's 5 of us here that wanna raise taxes to build a government center. At some point, we have to quit Band-Aiding. If the general public knew what we're spending maintaining these facilities, they would also blow a gasket. So at some point, we have to address it. Now may not be the time. That may be.
That was
But
my
I think
point.
we have to hear from the public when we have
Yes.
these open houses, and I would highly encourage the public to attend. There's 80 cents on the dollar going out the door to Band-Aid this place. And it will continue to cost more and more money. But if the public decides we're not doing it and they reverse referendum it, then that's the way it's gonna be. I'm not gonna overrule the general public and say, by the heck, we're building the building.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, we've spent so much time and money trying to get to this spot. We need to inform the public, and they need to be at these open houses. They need to do the tours. They need to understand the background and what we've gone through to this point. And again, if the public says no, it says no.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree with all that, except the part that the timing is just not, it's not there. And I think we're putting the burden on the public to go out and do the reverse referendum and everything
Well,
like
it
that.
is, this is all on the public, every bit of it. We're all taxpayers, and it's on every one of us countywide as taxpayers to become educated and decide if this is something the county should do. Timing or not, we can't control the Sauk Rapids School District passed a referendum. That doesn't help us. We can't control that we're in a major drainage system update throughout the county. That was out of our hands. We can't control the class and comp that we sat down here 4 years ago.
Class and comp has been done for a number of years.
Right, but I'm saying this board came in with that being done already. Past boards haven't touched drainage, past boards haven't touched the long-term goals of the government center. And so
Well-
at some point, if they did, we wouldn't be here today.
I think we did address the past points of the government center when we moved some of the people to Sauk Rapids. Because that was, and I know we don't all agree on how that was done, but that was something that took some of the people out of the building and got them over to St. Cloud, where 80% of our business happens.
But it came at a high cost.
Not as high as that government center.
It would be a pretty nice debt payment. And the county seat's here. I will never support a facility in East St. Cloud.
Right.
This is the county seat, and if you want services, this is where you can come to get them. That's my position. And again, we've got to continue on with educating the public. I want to be very clear. I'm not in a position where I'm going to say the public said no and by the heck, I'm voting for the government center. I want to hear from the public.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that the people you hearing from don't count, but there's 42,000 people in this county.
Right.
And a lot of people on this end of the county forget, we go all the way to the river. So it's not just District 1's vote, and it's not just District 2.
Yep.
Every vote we take affects everybody in the county.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important that we get this out in front of them. Timing may be crap, and that's okay. I want to be able, at the end of the day, to say, we did our work, we presented it to the taxpayers, and the taxpayers said yes or no.
And I think if you look at it, we got behind the referendums that got passed, because what happened? We went from 21 million to 24 million to 27 million to 31 million, and we pulled back and said, whoa, every time we turn around and we're meeting, these numbers keep going up. We need to pull back, and that's why we took a hiatus on this, is like, wait a minute here, we need to get our ducks in a row.
With that said, and I think you know this as well, you've heard from a number of people in your district who are opposed. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this board has also heard from a number of people, especially at township and city gatherings.
That's one person in the township.
Oh, no.
One person in the township agrees with this.
They had multiple opportunities at those meetings, and I walked away from there saying, these officials are in support. That's my opinion.
That's what I got from
'Cause I didn't
Watab.
hear anybody, I didn't hear one person at any of those meetings say, you're
Yeah, they
crazy.
didn't say you're crazy, but.
And those are the grassroots people representing everybody in the county. That's where it starts. Now, again, just because they said so doesn't mean we should do it. I'm just saying,
I'm not sure.
there's lack of support and there's support. So that's what we have to weigh out here when we do these educational times and tours.
And no different than the ditches. The ditches, we have to abide as a ditch authority to what people above us
Right.
have put on us to make sure we follow the procedure, follow all the rules and regulations. It's no different here than with all the building codes.
Oh, yeah.
We're being told that we have to do this, and this, or we're in violation. So we're once again sitting in the crosshairs going, what do we do? Do we keep band-aiding this and hiding it from the public that, oh, here's 200,000, here's 300,000? You know, they're paying it regardless.
Right.
A lot of these dollars. They just don't know it because it's not in a new building.
I just think it needed, we needed some discussion on
Yep.
what's gonna happen. And from the townships, I was at the two townships, nobody at them townships supported it.
See, and I only have one township in my district.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from the people that are coming to my township meetings is that they'd rather put it into a new building versus dumping money into an old building to Band-Aid it. But I agree with everything Scott said. I think that we need to take this to the public. You guys pretty much did most of the work before I got onto the board. And now that we have public hearings and public meetings set up for the public to come in and give their input, hopefully they'll come in with other suggestions that the board can entertain.
Yeah.
But they need to be aware of what's
Yeah.
going on. They need to see what the building looks like. They need to take a tour of the building, because I will tell you, that was a huge eye-opener for me when I came on this board. I was unaware of the things behind the scenes, the things in the basement, the elevator stuff, look at the boiler system going down, twice since I've been on the board?
No.
Twice the boiler systems went down. So there is things that we definitely need to fix.
We have to spend
So
money
one way
somewhere.
or the
Yes.
other, we are going to be spending money. And I do think it's important to get the public's input on this.
And you can tell this is very, we'll call it, not emotional, but, I mean, we're going through things because we don't want to spend everybody's money. We don't, because it's our money too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is we got to figure out a good path, and the public needs to be involved. And we've been trying to do this as much as possible, is to get everybody involved. And I know we got these tour meetings, one in Rice, one in Sauk Rapids, couple here, tours, all of that stuff, to show people what is behind the scenes, like Commissioner Benoit said. So
My hope and my prayer for all of this is because I know from being on the township board for 13 years that to get the public to show up at this stuff is like pulling teeth sometimes.
Yep.
And sometimes you only have 25, 30 people in an annual meeting at the township that decides the whole township for them. And I don't want to see that. I would like to see and that's the reason we went to the length of getting it in the paper and making sure that the public is aware of these things. Hopefully, we get enough people to show up at those meetings and those tours to actually see what's going on.
And I think I can speak for the whole board. I don't think anybody's here trying to pull the wool over anybody's
No.
eyes. We've been very upfront on what this costs all the way through. It's not a matter of, Monty, correct me if I'm wrong, other than 300,000, the county is debt-free.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's correct.
And most people don't understand that. I mean, we're sitting here going, and we don't compare ourselves to other counties to spending money and stuff. I get that, because there's a lot of variables that go into it. But we look at counties that are around us they got buildings that are 20 years newer than ours that are doing major upgrades to their buildings because of mechanical issues and everything like that. We just keep Band-Aiding everything. We've been fighting over parking lots for 2 years.
That's a debate.
Hey, we've been holding to other boards, and whatever we do potentially puts other boards in a bad position down the road too. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but every board has a reaction to the previous board and has an assumption of the new board coming in.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Everything we do.
I just don't want to be part of the board that's gonna raise taxes for 20 years. That's going to be detrimental to this county.
But in my opinion, I don't know how you can be a county and not have any debt. Well,
There's some.
I would love to see the debt load on all the counties out there. I would bet we are in the bottom of everything. But at what risk? At what risk?
I mean, one former commissioner says, well, he goes, look at what the county's done. They built a new government center, they built a new jail, they built a new highway building, and as soon as we get it paid for, they want to add more debt. He said it seems like we're in a continuous flow of, similar to school districts. They want to keep building and keep building.
I would have to imagine that past commissioner on those three facilities must have been involved in a vote on it.
Yeah, and 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at some point, he or she, whatever, understood that they had to do something.
Right.
And I think that's our big problem we face here today is we have to do something. To me, if the estimates are right at a $22 million upgrade, a renovation.
Renovation.
Yeah, yes, thank you. That makes no sense to me.
Well, I've heard on that part that's absolutely insane that it would cost that much, so.
Okay, let's even take that 22 down by 30%, and let's just say it's 17 million.
Yeah.
That's insane to put $17 million into this. Because remember, we lose the bottom level.
Right.
We don't have a space right now. We lose the bottom level. We got to do something. We got to add on.
I don't know. It's just, it was something for thoughts.
I hear you, Commissioner Pop.
Yep.
The timing of it sucks.
Really sucks.
I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And at the same token, again, we have this fiduciary responsibility to address the potential needs of the county, right? We do it with our roads. We do it with everything we do every day. Again, that doesn't mean the answer is we will build.
Right.
No.
We've got to get this out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're this far. We have to get it out there.
Boy, I tell you, what Mr. Half said in the opening, it resonates with me for sure. I knew this was coming on this discussion and everything like that. This isn't fun to sit up here and do this, especially when you hear what you have to say. I mean, it's not a fun topic at all.
Tim, you had?
Chair Pop, question for your administrator. Monty, how much, the county owns the land across the street, correct?
That's correct.
How much?
How much what?
600,000?
No. How much did it?
No,
We
50.
paid $250.
Okay, can you provide a back-of-the-envelope estimate on GLT and Contegrity, what you've spent so far? If you can't do it right now, could you get me that number?
Yeah, you know, Tim, when I guess I'm wrong, and I don't want to give you the wrong number.
Okay.
I'll need to look and see currently what we paid up to date and then let you know.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And the last number that you had in your March 3rd Committee of the Whole for a new building was 29.7, because I round everything, I don't go 6 digits.
That sounds
So
accurate.
your new is 29.7, estimate, it's all estimates right now.
Right. I think
You're
that was
saying-
what they call the DD number, the
Yeah,
design
DD.
development estimate, yeah.
Okay. I mean, just, I want to ask you for that, Monty, if you can provide
Yep.
it.
So
I'll
I'm sorry,
probably-
so state the question one more time?
Okay, first, I need to know exactly how much you spent on the property next door. 'cause
Yep,
you bought
okay,
it,
yep.
And the dollar figure on services, everything for GLT and Contegrity, because you've met regularly with them for the last year and a half on planning.
Yep.
That's a rough
Yep.
stage.
Yep.
'Cause
Okay.
I'll ask that in the next 4 meetings we're gonna spend time with when you're out there. I'll ask the question, that needs to get out.
Mhm.
Okay. That's-
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the main thing I wanted to ask.
Okay.
So I did mention this is Evan. I invited Evan and Pete to join us. They're here virtually. If you have any questions of them, so they're with us.
Okay. I don't.
If you're ready to move on, I wanted to share with you a very brief open house program. Gave you kind of a sense of what we've been thinking about, talking to GLT and so on. So this is a draft program for open house. It begin with introductions, and then I would provide an overview of the open house format. Next thing we go into is a video. It's being done for us by Bill Colton Communications. Bill's already been on site, and he shot a ton of video. He did 2 on-camera interviews with Christine Sherbreen and Steve Stang to highlight issues with elections and IT. So he's done those. I have sent him a script to begin working on as he sort of layers voiceovers with video and still pictures. I know Evan sent him many still pictures of things that they had seen. So then we go into the video and it just try and focus on some of the key issues that we're seeing in the building. You know, the aging mechanical systems, decaying exterior surfaces, ADA issues, the data center, those issues with fire suppression and elections. Bill happened to be here on a good time. He caught 2 folks from our treasurer's office actually carting voting equipment across the parking lot, and those carts, you know, as they're shaking and so on, back over to the storage in the old highway building. And then lastly, the video was that we hope to have an on-camera wrap-up by a board member. So far, Commissioner Heinen has volunteered to be the on-camera person. If that's okay with you, then we'll arrange for him to have a short on-camera wrap-up. And then the next, we would go to a preview of the new building. So I would ask Evan to take us through those 3-dimensional renderings and focusing on really, I guess, so you've identified a problem or issue with the old building. How does the new building address that? So that's kind of, we want to create that connection. We've been having meetings here on site with departments. You may have kind of heard about that. And Evan has been sharing the newest 3-dimensional renderings, and they are, I think, very powerful because it's so realistic to see exterior, interior. It's like you're walking through the building. So I think that's going to help folks see how do you address an issue with the old building and with the new. And then lastly, then there'd be ample time for, we talk about the financing plan, the tax impact, and then it's opened up for comment, questions, and so on. I thought we would have, you kind of remember when we had those employee meetings, we had lots of poster boards on easels. So I presumably we'd have quite a few images of the new building on easels so folks can take a look at, and a QR code to a project webpage on our website. That website does not exist at this moment, but we'll work on it. So I'm guessing we would put the video out there and other information on a website project page. So I wanted to get your thoughts about this possible program. Do you see any issues or concerns? And please let me know.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if it's part of the program, but one thing I need, and I think all of us need, is a estimated tax impact
Yes.
on different classifications
Yes.
and different
Of
values.
course.
And simplified down,
Yep.
but
So you may remember during one of Jessica Green's visits with you all, she shared with you that tax impact of a median valued residential, industrial, and then ag land. I asked her this morning to update that. So I'm thinking we'll have that display on one of these poster boards, and so folks can see it. Yep.
and I would like to see it
On the-
before that.
Yeah.
As soon as you get it.
Yeah.
Of
Because
course.
that's a question.
Well, she said she responded back. She's going to work on it right away.
Yep.
She's actually working on the CIP document, which must be published prior to the public hearing. There's a 14-day publication notice requirement for the public hearing on May 6th. So that's actually going to get posted sometime mid-April. So as soon as I see it, I'll share that with you. Sure.
I think that would
And
be
I
a good.
and I of course want to share with you all a preview of the video and make sure you're okay with it before we blast it to the public. So yeah.
That a copy of that dollar amount for the households might be good to be on that video too.
I'm sure Bill could incorporate a shot, and he's really good. They can incorporate that into the video. Sure. Yeah.
And Commissioner Pop, to your point on a timing thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but our last committee of the wholes, we kind of talked about, I think June 3rd is our board meeting date. That's kind of our quote unquote drop dead decision making date. We're supposed to have bids in by then. And that will be the time where it's decided if we're moving forward or not. We're
Yeah.
not going to drag it out forever.
No.
Well,
Unless the board chooses to drop it before then. And so.
correct. But we still have, from June 3rd, we have 30 days.
Well, the 30 days will
So
start
the
May
30-day
6th.
period commences on May 6th. And I'm sorry. Maybe Evan. Can you remind us when do we expect to open bids? Or maybe Pete can tell us. When do we expect to open bids, Pete or Evan? Can you unmute your mic and remind us?
This is Evan. Oh, go ahead, Pete, sorry.
I was gonna say, it was at the end of May, I think we had picked that 5/27 mark, something in that nature. So we would be ready to roll for potentially a special board meeting, I believe, on June 9th.
Okay. So that's after the expiration of the 30-day period. So yep.
Yes, everything was orchestrated to work
Right.
around that.
Yeah. Got it.
And I think we got to be very clear with the public about what the building costs are. Because if we just say no to the building and they don't know the background on what we're spending and what we need to spend moving forward on this building, that's giving them 50% of the information.
That's a good point, Commissioner Kapinski. Monty, that may be something that needs to be included in there as we've got a budget set in our CIP for the next year and next 5 years.
Right.
Of what we're gonna be spending on these facilities, and that, highlighted information of that would be beneficial. Because those dollars will not be spent here, obviously.
Okay. Well, we'll continue. And we're kind of on a hectic pace because this first one is April 9th. So to get these materials ready for that first open house. And again, I'm working with Jessica on the CAP because that'll get published here in about 2 weeks. Just one last item, Mr. Chair, is my plan was that we would advertise separately for 2 consecutive weeks the open house dates, time, and places. So I intended to get that notice to the newspapers this week to get those and again publish them 2 consecutive weeks before the first open house.
Mr. Chair, if I could, Tim, I'll just throw this out there. You're gonna do what you gotta do, but if those could be highlighted somehow in the Benton County News and the Herald, because if it gets stuck in the public notices, a lot of people don't always see that or read them.
Yeah, it wouldn't be in the legals.
This week, because it's Sunshine Week, which is open government, which
Okay.
put them in the story at the end.
So they were in the Herald Saturday already?
They're in the Herald
Okay, so
Saturday.
I'll see them in the Benton County News today. Thank you.
We wouldn't place them in the legals.
Okay.
They'd get lost there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He's talking about display advertising, which is totally different. I'm news.
Yeah.
That's advertising.
But you could always put a nice word in, Tim.
And, we can't make people come to these. We can't make
No.
people understand what is going on. I just talked to 3 people this weekend, and actually they just all happen to be at Colburn's. They all think that Sauk Rapids is getting an indoor complex,
Like a field house.
like a field house. And I'm like, no, you don't know. There's nothing indoor.
No.
Well, that's why I voted for it. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
That's where if they go to the meetings
Yeah, right.
and they educate themselves on what's going on,
Well,
Yeah, I can't wait to run on that indoor track. I'm like, that's not an indoor track.
yeah, you're going to be running in the winter in about 2 feet of snow.
Yeah.
when they came to the city of Rice, the Sauk Rapids School District, there was one person there, me.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be there for some other, nobody showed up. And to defend my area a little bit, they were 2-1. They voted against that Sauk
And,
Rapids school.
and I'm not trying to be mean to townships or anything like that, but when we have these BCAT meetings and all these township meetings, we've brought this up for the last year and a half. And everybody seemed positive. So it's news to me hearing that they're not, because we could have taken a step back and not spent additional money
Yeah.
to
You should have
keep
been to
this
the
moving
township
forward.
meeting. Yeah, you should have been to the township meeting last Tuesday afternoon. You'd have got a clear message on how that township
And that's
is.
unfortunate because
Yes.
they had multiple opportunities
Right.
with this board to share those feelings, and they did not.
Well, it was your
At those
township
meetings.
supervisors, and now you have the general public.
Well,
All right, let's move on. Consider a resolution for supporting the application for the state of Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for trail funding.
If I may explain why this is here. So, folks in public health had applied for a MnDOT Transportation Alternatives Grant, otherwise known as TAP. And this is the 3rd time we've applied for it. It's very competitive. It's a tough one to get. As we've applied and seen the evaluations from MnDOT, some pretty tough hurdles to get over to get that. So we thought as an insurance policy to apply for this grant. And actually, as we studied it, it seemed much more appropriate for what we want to do. It's all about trail connections. And it's, as you read the description, it seemed to fit perfectly. And it's actually through DNR. So it seemed like, okay, we're going to find out about the TAP grant April-ish. I think April 15th is when they're going to announce. The deadline in this one is actually the end of this month. So we thought, okay, we applied twice, haven't been successful. We might not get the TAP grant. Let's apply for this one as an insurance policy. This one won't be announced until July. Not as good in terms of the finances. It does require a higher, the maximum allowable grant is smaller than TAP, so which increases the county's match requirements. I tried to highlight that in the agenda item. That I used the estimated project cost from our TAP grant application, $375,000. The local match for the TAP was $77,000, almost $78,000. The local match on this would be $125,000. So that's really, again, Mr. Chair, the goal here is to give us an option. And I skipped over a whole bunch of details. This is the trail connection between the city of Rice and Benton River Park. I apologize. I assumed again, we've been trying on this for 3 years through MnDOT. It's about a mile. Chris, is it a mile?
Yeah. Maybe.
Roughly, to connect folks who want to bike or walk safely from the city of Rice to the Benton River Park. We already possess the necessary right-of-way along County Road 55. It'd be the east side for the trail. I think that's an added strength in our applications that we already have the right-of-way. So that's the story, Mr. Chair, and asking for your consideration.
I got a question. Is the city of Rice participating in this at all too?
Not in terms of the match. No, I mean they've agreed to be responsible for maintenance.
Oh yeah,
maintenance, right? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, just
Local
just
match
for
for
clarification,
construction.
Monty, so the match you're looking at, 100% of it would come out of the CIP fund
Yes, sir.
balance?
Yes, Chair, yes, yep. And that's the same place where the match for the TAP would come from. It's just a higher, there's just a higher level of match because again, the cap on this is 250. That's the most you're gonna get. So to complete the project, you have to have more local dollars.
I assume there was no other public health grant dollars that could pay for the match?
Emma has not told me of any, so I'm not aware of any other local match dollars, so.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
If the first grant goes through and we are granted that, the TAP grant?
Yes.
If we are approved for that, then are we getting both grants if we're
No,
approved
we would,
for?
of course, if we get the TAP, of course, we would reject this one because it's got a higher local cost, right? Yeah,
Okay.
and again, the issue is timing. We'll know on the TAP by April 15th. We won't know on this one until July. So if we get TAP, well, that's good to go. We're good to go then.
Mr. Chair, the only thing that I'll say is if we start setting a precedence like
Right.
this, we're gonna have all of our cities, because I know the city of Sauk Rapids just did their trail on their own. We just had to support that agreement.
And they could come with the same dollar amount.
They could be coming back to us too, and
So just so I'm clear, City of Rice is not involved financially at all? They're gonna do maintenance.
They have committed to the maintenance, that's right. The board previously committed to the local match for TAP, whereas the city of Rice committed to maintenance by resolution. So, and for the TAP grant, we actually had to have a resolution from the city showing who was gonna maintain it. And I think that, hopefully that helped the application. And it just, based upon past history, our success rate hasn't been good with TAP, so.
One more question.
Sure.
And I could just add one thing. I mean, the city did, through their clerk, make it clear to me that they were willing to accept responsibility for maintenance, but they were not willing or open to providing cash local match for construction or design. That was made clear to me, yes.
So you're asking for permission right now just to apply for that grant?
Yes, apply.
So if we apply for the grant because the deadline's coming up, and can we then reject the grant later if we decided not to use the
Absolutely,
grant?
right, yeah. I mean, it would require the board approving a grant agreement, and if you simply not approve it, then the bets are off, right? Yeah.
once you not approve a grant that comes in though, that's a stain on your.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I bet your area would be in favor of this one though.
Well, I would imagine they
Yeah.
have no cost.
Yeah.
I mean, they gotta have some stake in the game.
But it is a cost. It's on Benton County.
That's what I mean. They don't have any stake in the game.
How much of this trail, Chris, is in the city limits? Would you guesstimate?
All of it, because what I understand, the city limits goes down to the county
Bend
park property.
Right.
So this is adjacent to County Road 55, if you remember when we redid that a few years ago, and the city, I mean, give the city some credit, they did pay for the additional easement to put that trail in, but,
What's the total cost?
Yeah.
My computer's gone.
376.
I'm struggling because I know if you listen to Amanda from BEP and the development that Rice has got going, it's huge. The new water tower coming in, the development that's happening, a lot of businesses moving in.
And they're building homes every time you turn around, there's a new structure going up, but, I mean, it's also building on their tax base where they could
pay for this.
help us out.
So let me share a little history. So about 4 years ago, the city of Rice did a park plan, and it identified the priorities of the residents for parks and trails development. And this was, if it wasn't number one, it was number two in terms of their highest priority parks and trails projects. So that's really, frankly, what got it to our attention, is seeing, hey, this is a high priority for the city. We thought, okay, we know we're developing Bend the River. This gives people a safe way to get there. They're not on the road. So that's really where it started, is really seeing the city's park plan, which identified it as a high priority.
Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Pinsky's point, though, what kind of precedence? I get a little nervous about that.
When does this have to be turned in?
Into March. That's why, again, it's a timing issue. It's due into March. That was the issue. And we know about TAP until mid-April.
And when would this money come available?
It's actually sooner, because so TAP is like federal fiscal year 29. I believe this is 26 or 27. It's much sooner. Yeah, much sooner.
It's $125,000.
I'm not one to do what, Commissioner Benoit asked about, is we could always turn it down. But I think if we turn this in, it gives us the ability to go back to Rice and say, listen, we need a partner in this, because this is gonna benefit not only Benton County, but it's gonna benefit the city of Rice a lot.
Well, I think, Chris, we were there for the city, and there was a lot of discussion about the maintenance, yet alone.
Come on up, Chris. Don't make it.
Well, yeah, as anybody would. I mean, we would have the same concerns if it was our department. I mean, you're adding additional assets and features that need to be maintained in the long run. You're adding some, capital assets. So, yeah, they had some concerns about that additional maintenance burden put on them, so.
But if we look at it, it doesn't really help Foley, Gilman, Sauk Rapids.
Well,
it helps the people go into Rice that are at Bend to the river. Maybe they're gonna go into the old creamery or something like that. But it really is the city of Rice.
I think precedents, set precedents that, we'll have another 125,000 for Sauk Rapids, or 125,000
for Foley.
Pretty soon we're at, $500,000.
We already spent our ARPA.
Yeah. We've already given,
Monty, do we know what a rough estimate of what the total of the county's investment would be towards this project? Is it just, it's more than the 126, isn't it? Because that's our match.
So maybe a question. So Chris, the 375 came from TAP. Did that included engineering too, right?
No, because engineering is not eligible for the TAP grant.
Oh, okay.
That was just, that's the estimated construction costs.
Okay.
So, engineering costs would be additional.
But we're not getting reimbursed for your engineering costs.
Yeah, usually the grants for road and trail construction will not cover engineering, or any environmental work that's needed, to clear the project, so.
So I guess my question is the county's commitment 125,575 towards this whole project, or are we in already?
We're in already.
I would say already the costs have been very minimal.
Okay.
Emma and I worked together on coming up with these estimates based on some recent trail projects and bid prices, and kind of escalating those for future costs. So I would think our costs so far have been very minimal, but TAP certainly, since that's federal money, you'll be required to follow the federal process for plan development, which requires environmental review. Hopefully we don't have any architectural or archaeological stuff that needs to be done out there in that area. But you will be required to put together a state aid set of plans, construction plans, which would require engineering costs.
And when you mean you, do you mean you, or are we hiring an engineering firm?
So our capacity, I think, is consumed with just trying to deliver our 5-year road plan.
So there'd be additional engineering costs coming to the county.
Yeah, so to put it bluntly, I don't think our staff could put together the trail plan with all of our other work. So I would, if it was put on me, I would turn around and ask the board to authorize a consultant contract to develop those plans.
Well, Commissioner.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what that cost would be?
What did we spend on just the trails in Benton River Park? So road construction, consultant plans are about 10% of the construction costs. So, I mean, engineering could be upwards close to 40,000. So
now we're in for 165.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Pinsky's point, though, I understand if we applied and then said no, but if the leaning is we're not going to do it, why would we apply and put
True.
ourselves in a position to say
True.
no?
True. I can't argue with that.
Rice would be off the hook for maintenance then.
Yeah. I think this is an easier grant to get, but we're putting ourselves on the hook for.
Or a lot more money.
Well, I'm smelling $160,000 here.
And this grant will be around in the future.
Chris, this is not on the road, this is a set-aside trail, right?
Yeah, so there would
We
be.
bought the property.
The intent, based on Rice's park and trail plan, was a 10-foot shared use path, we call it, so bicyclists and walkers could use it. And the easement is wide enough that there should be a grass area in between the roadway and that trail, so.
I'm gonna make a motion to not support the trail grant funding application.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think it's a great, project for the city of Rice. I think it's a great project for the county, but we need partnerships in this. And we need time to build those partnerships on this, and we can apply next year if that's the case, but, I don't feel comfortable going in, applying for something, knowing that there's probably a 75% chance of us having to turn down the grant if we get it, and putting egg in our face. So I'd rather get our ducks in a row and come back at this later on.
Any other discussion? Why, I mean, if you look at 165,000, it's a lot.
Yep.
Yes,
I
I
guess-
can ask a question. So, with the TAP, we didn't count on any city financial participation in the construction or design. We only asked them to commit to maintenance. So I'm wondering, should we kind of regroup on that particular application and seek some city participation in the construction and design costs?
Mr. Chair, to Monty's point, it's gonna take a significant amount, I would think, which I don't know that, maybe they'd be prepared to do. And I recognize they have maintenance costs.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is, and I don't remember exactly, I was thinking of the city of Sauk Rapids trail that's gonna go along Mayhew Lake Road, to the school.
That was safe and,
Right.
safe ways to school or
In other
whatever.
words, I wonder, should we use that as perhaps the model for what we would seek? And I'm sorry, I don't recall the details on that one.
Well, I think we were pretty clear on that we wanted, not in the county right away.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess
no
where I'm
county
going with this thought, Mr. Chair, in other words, if the board expects local participation from the city of Rice on this or any other trail that's, associated with the city, I need to be able to send that clear message to them that, in essence, folks, if you wish to see this done, it's going to take some local cost participation. Because up to this point, the message has been, this is what I've heard in terms of local cost participation. So if the message is different, I need to make sure I send that message very clearly to the city then.
Yeah.
And if, in other words, if they're unwilling to, then we simply won't pursue it. Preparing these grant applications is very, very time intensive. And again, this is the third time. It probably doesn't make sense to continue doing it unless we have is the city on board with some cost participation?
Okay.
I think it's an absolute home run for the city.
Right.
To me, that builds, how many cities can say, other than like a metropolitan, like a Sauk Rapids, outside of St. Cloud, where they got trails go right to bigger parks fully? I mean, they got the park, but this is a major park.
Mr. I think we've heard this kind of issue before, maybe a little bit, is that it's a county road. And I think there's a perception that since it's a county road, the county should be responsible for it. But I guess what I've heard from you all is you're saying, look, primarily this is going to benefit the citizens of the city of Rice. Yes, it is a county road, but the beneficiaries are largely the residents of the city.
Yes.
So by virtue of that, there should be some local cost participation, even though it is a county road. So
The only
Mr. Chair, I'm
time
going
I-
to ask
go
you to
ahead.
call the question.
Okay.
I have
One more
one,
question.
one question, actually. And you guys are more familiar than I am, being newly on the board. Has the county participated in other trail, like the one in Sauk Rapids that's going by the school? We're not funding any of that. And that's on a county road, correct? So I guess I would say that with, we're setting precedent.
So the motion's been made and seconded to not apply for the, what do they call it? That DNR grant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All righty, I think the last thing is the Safe Assure. I'll make sure Chris is back in here so he can possibly help out with this issue. So, yeah. So here's the bigger picture. So in the past, I understand is that the highway department and property management would join together and they'd bring in someone from the outside to provide both mandatory and discretionary safety training on-site out at highway. And I believe over time that arrangement kind of fell apart, where they couldn't find a resource to come in. Well, we now use this company called Safe Assure, and a lot of counties use them. They provide policies, the online training, for example, OSHA training that we're required to do, and they can provide also on-site training for our folks. So highway and property management got with Safe Assure, and they came up with sort of a menu of various trainings that could be delivered on-site out of highway for both property management and highway. I put up here on the screen the first block. It says April 17th. So these are the trains that highway has worked out and property management has worked out. If it's in yellow, it's OSHA required. If it's in yellow, it's OSHA required. If it's in that kind of, I can't describe that next color down. What would you call that color?
Hot
Light green.
Pink?
Oh, hot pink.
No,
Yeah.
that next color down, like a purple? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those
Think
are
Monty's
recommended-
It's like hot pink, yeah.
Excuse me, magenta.
Hot pink.
Hot pink.
Hot pink.
Yeah.
Okay. Hot pink is, it says trainings that are recommended, but based upon the hazards these employees encounter. The green is also, Safe Assure did this color coding for me. The green is also required.
The light
training.
green or dark green?
Excuse me?
There's a lighter green and a dark green.
The light green is, I'm not sure I quite follow this. It says training commonly cited under the general duty clause annually. It says it's recommended. It's recommended. So if you're yellow or you're hot pink, it's required. So so the first batch is the new stuff that they would deliver to property management highway. And then there's also another batch here on the bottom, saying January, most of which is required. So the additional incremental cost is about, I think I have in here, it's $1,300 for them to deliver this training. Right now, we pay Safe Assure about $8,000 a year, so it's another $1,300 on top of that for this training for this group of employees.
That's
And
a
obviously,
no-brainer.
they encounter substantial risks out in the field. Think about them doing crack filling. They're using chainsaws to do brushing and so on. So I would imagine most folks would agree this training is necessary and important so that we have good and safe work practices. And we can fund this out of our countywide training budget.
I'll make a motion to adopt and amend the agreement with Safe Assure to provide training to the highway department and property management.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to provide training and safety for highway, and I think it's very important. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I should compliment Mark Abnett and Chris and Jeff Dingman for making this connection with Safe Assure and getting this training arranged. Appreciate them doing that.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I don't want to push off our friend Jerry, but would you consider moving the community health board up? We could get these three ladies onto their.
You okay with that, Jerry?
You might be quicker?
Yeah.
He's got
Okay.
an annual report he's going to present. Okay.
How long is yours gonna
I
be?
actually have an appointment in the Twin Cities. I need to leave at 11. I was going to request that you table this
Okay,
Respectfully, is that all right?
Yeah.
sorry about that, Jerry.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it happens.
Thank you, Jerry. I'll do that. I'll move to table this to our next county board meeting.
All right.
I'll second.
We don't
No.
need a second.
I always love hearing you, so.
Yeah, and I don't want to try to cut this to a 2-minute
No.
discussion. It's
It's
important.
important.
We'll keep it to that 5 minutes later on. Just kidding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
All right. This time we'll recess the county board and we'll go to public health, and I'll turn it over to vice chair tonight.
Can I ask for approval of the agenda?
Is there any additions, Madam Chair, at all? Any additions?
Jacqueline?
Jacqueline?
No additions today.
Okay, move for approval of the agenda as presented.
Second.
And can I ask for approval of the consent
Oh,
agenda?
you gotta call the question.
Call it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, can I ask for approval for the consent agenda item number 1?
So moved.
Second.
I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jacqueline, go ahead.
All right, so we just have 2 items today. The first of the 2 items is to consider the SHIP grant amendment to include capacity building funds. If you recall, our Community Health Board approved us applying for a small amount of some additional SHIP grant funds made possible by the Jewel settlements to help support training for staff for tobacco work. So that's primarily what this additional $5,000 would be used for, and so just looking for approval of the contract amendment to our SHIP grant.
And this doesn't require match funding either.
Our SHIP grant does, but this additional $5,000 does not. Yeah, and a little bit about that, a lot of the times with some of these grants, it's community work that we would be doing. And so those grants really help to offset the county investment into that, that work. This $5,000, we don't have a match for, but our typical SHIP grant, it does have a 10% match, but usually that's used and met by my staff time, my supervision time, other indirect costs like our fiscal staff, and so forth, but yes.
Move for approval of adopting the SHIP grant amendment.
I'll second.
Presented.
I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead.
Okay, so then we will move on to our next piece today. Today, I am happy to have our AmeriCorps members here with us, our 2 Public Health Corps members. They have been partnered with us. Tina has been here for 2 years, and Tabitha has been here little over half a year at this point in time. AmeriCorps is a partnership that is with Benton County, where AmeriCorps funds their staff time, their salaries, their benefits, and a couple of other benefit insurance options, things like that. And then they're partnered with the county, and they're able to work on county initiatives, projects, and programs. So today I have them here with us. They're going to provide a presentation overview of the projects that they worked on and some of the things that they're currently working on. So I think you'll be excited to hear all the impacts they've made in community, and I'm just going to share the screen here because I know they have their program supervisor online. I'm not sure. Let's see, entire screen. Here we go. All right. Okay, so I will go ahead and have you guys come on up. And then I can pass these out for you. Sure. And then you'll just use the arrows here to navigate.
Is there a way for us to show the video too?
Oh, yeah, you can, yep, there's a mouse.
Oh, here on
Yep,
the side.
over on the side. Okay, awesome. It's not double-sided, but.
Thank you.
How long is this presentation?
What's even one?
Huh?
Mine's even one.
All right, so good morning.
Good morning.
So I will be introducing myself. My name is Tina Tao, and this is the other AmeriCorps member.
My name is Tabitha Young.
All right, and we are the 2 AmeriCorps members at Benton County Public Health Department. So a little bit about myself. I am a second year AmeriCorps member, so my first term was here last year. I am currently a St. Cloud student, so senior. I'm going to be graduating this spring in May in community health and a minor in psychology. My goals and interests are in environmental health and refugee health. And I am, just a fun fact about myself, I'm also a reservist in the Navy.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for the support. So, one of the topics that I'm currently working on is the Day in the Life of Public Health Professional series. The Day in the Life video series is about the public health professionals here at Benton County. In this series, it will show you what their daily task looks like as a public health professional, some of the projects that they have completed and are currently working on, and the people they've impacted with the work that they do. So throughout this project, I was able to interview each group and learn a little bit more about what they do, and film and get all the projects that they've done and worked on. So I traveled to different locations across Benton County, such as Benton the River that you guys mentioned before, and basically showcase their hard work. You know, through all the grants that they've done and the partnerships and collaborations, they were able to make a lot of these projects come to life, and I was able to go out there and record and put it all in a little nice video for you all. So yeah, I did a lot of interviewing, and then now I'm on the editing process. So there are specific videos for each group. So the WIC staff, the nursing staff, the community health specialists, the case aides, us AmeriCorps members, and our supervisors. Within the near future, our first video of the series is with the case aides will be coming to your email soon. So just keep an eye out for that. Another project that I've done and I've completed last year was the Safe Routes to School. So with the Safe Routes to School, the project that I completed was the Pleasant View Elementary School. So Safe Routes to School is a public health initiative. This is a collaborative work with many other stakeholders such as the Department of Transportation, local counties and city halls, nonprofit organizations, and Minnesota Department of Health. The movement of Safe Routes to School is to create a safer and easier way for students to walk and bike to school. Also making it fun and healthy as well to promote and encourage healthy and physical activities. This particular project I worked on was at Pleasant View Elementary School, as I mentioned before. And if you guys look at the slides here on this right side, this shows a good representation of what it looked like before and what it looked like after. So if you could see in the bottom right here, if you guys have the slides, or even here too, it shows a good image of it. We painted on the road. It was a red pinkish border on the road, represents extended curbs. And we installed plastic barriers to provide more awareness to the area and to basically discourage speeding. Because oncoming cars aren't able to really tell if this curb is real or not. So just by that visual look, it's just to discourage speeding and make it safer for pedestrians to walk by. In this special slide, the St. Cloud APO, which is also known as St. Cloud Area Planning Organization, they are an active partner that we work with when it comes to Safe Routes to School. On the left side hand here, we have a video that was created by Alex McKenzie. He's from the APO. It basically shows a good video of like a summary of like what we did. If you don't mind, I'm going to play the video here.
Hey, Stock Rapids. We're excited to share our new Safe Routes to School demonstration project happening right here at Pleasant View Elementary School. With a grant from the Minnesota Department of Transportation, we're transforming this intersection to make it safer and more comfortable for kids walking and biking to school. First, we chalked out the dimensions for our new curb extensions. This will help reduce crossing distance and increase visibility between pedestrians and drivers. Next up, the fun part, painting the road. A bright red surface makes this new layout super visible. We got students involved too. It's all about community ownership and making sure everyone is part of the chain. Then we installed bollards to define the new pedestrian areas.
Yes, we have Commissioner Heinen also help on the project
as well. We just used a leaf blower to drive the pavement first. Finally, reflective tape was added to make everything clear and visible, especially at night. And there you have it. Our temporary Safe Route to School project is ready for you to try. Come check it out this summer and let us know what you think. Your feedback is super important. Visit the intersection of 11th Street North and 6th Avenue North and tell us how we can make walking and biking to school even safer and more enjoyable. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there.
So I don't know if you guys got a quick glimpse, but I was also in the video featuring Mariah as well, the other community health specialist, and Commissioner Heinen. The next project here is the Central Minnesota Alliance Mental Health Toolkit. This is a project that I completed last year, my first term. This was a collaboration between all the other AmeriCorps members from the different counties of Sherburne and Stearns. We collaboratively researched within the Central Minnesota about mental health and the resources that are out there. And if to the right here are basically the photos of us four as we receive an award at our CMA leadership meeting towards the end of our service. I can just briefly go through the mental toolkit here. Actually, oops, sorry. Just to click through. We could definitely print this out and email to you guys later if you guys are interested in looking into what we created. So we kind of give an overview of what mental health is, some data and research about the different areas of the Central Minnesota here, and some resources too. So if you guys are interested, I'll make sure to follow up afterwards and email them to you all. And then along with the Central Minnesota Alliance, I've been doing a bunch of projects with them. Another project that I've completed was the video survey recording, and I did the English version. So they were 3 different recordings of the survey in languages such as English, Spanish, and Somali. We had Lily from Sherburne do the Spanish version. Yasin, who is also another AmeriCorps member at Stearns County, did the Somali version, and I recorded the English version. The initiative and collaborative effort of this recording was to create an auto recording for people across the county, regardless of barriers and disabilities, and that way they can, access the survey and take it in a way where it's appropriate for them. Hand hygiene. So another project that I completed last year, I was able to have the opportunity to go to Foley Elementary School, and I taught first graders how to wash their hand properly. The importance of washing their hand was to basically show them that it's important to protect themselves and also their peers because, kids, they touch a lot of things and sometimes their hands aren't always clean. And so this is the PowerPoint that I created, super simple. It's just basically show them, how to wash their hands, some basic steps. And also, towards the end of the slide, like 20 seconds, happy birthday songs, like the best ways to try to get the hand hygiene to stick to their brains. I was able to coordinate the education lessons with the support of the community health specialists, Mariah and Kayla, and also the school district nurse, Michelle. So in this photo here, I have Tabitha, my amazing model here with her hands. What we did was we had the glow germs in the bottom, on the top left picture here is the glow germs. And what I did was we would squeeze a little bit of glow germ into their hands, and then they would rub it into their hands, right? So as you follow the photos, they're rubbing into their hands, and then have this blue UV light that you would shine on their hand, and whatever glows is supposedly the germs, right? So that's the germ sticking on their hand, and me educating them how to wash their hand properly in hopes to hopefully end on the bottom right picture to be clean, even with the UV light shining on it. So at the end of the lesson, I would give students hand washing and germ coloring sheets and hand washing instruction sticker right in the middle, and a personal hand sanitizer bottle for their backpack, explaining what they learned in class to their parents. Another project that I've done is the Child and Teen Dental Varnish. So as part of the dental varnish program and the teen and child checkup, I help community outreach events alongside with Kayla and Maria, the other community health specialists, on helping out with educating children in families about dental hygiene and the importance of applying dental varnish. We usually do our dental outreach at Sauk Rapids and Foley Elementary Schools, and sometimes we occasionally do them out at other outreach events such as Project Connect, Pride, the Health Equity Fair, and many more. Our goal is to provide dental varnish at these events and locations to raise awareness and offer resources to individuals who have limited access to dental care in the area. As we know, in Benton County, there's a lot of challenges accessing dental services. And as you can see in the photos here, we have a lovely volunteer, which is Jacqueline's nephew, I think, and Mariah and Kayla. We're over here just applying dental varnish and what it looks like. We use the mobile outreach trailer at the Hispanic Heritage Day at Lake George. And then here are just some photos of me at some outreach events. And during my time with Benton County as an AmeriCorps member, I just want to say I had an amazing opportunity to explore and gain hands-on experience in various public health sectors, including dental hygiene, mental health, health equity, and maternal and child health. I've also learned how to set up and manage event tables while educating the community on important health topics. Lastly, I just want to end this off and say that one thing I've learned about attending these tabling events is how to build good relationships and connect with people. It's not just about sharing health information, but it's also about really listening to people, understanding what they need, and creating trust. It's a great way to connect with people and work together to improve each other's health. And it's a great way to learn how to talk to all kinds of people and make a positive impact in their life. Now, I will be turning it over to Tabitha.
It's going to be really hard to beat there. But, so a little bit about myself. I am a first-year AmeriCorps member. I do have a degree as a registered nurse with my bachelor's degree. Some of the goals and interests that I have here in public health is suicide prevention, women's, infants, and children, so WIC, and public health nursing. And I'm an Army veteran who served 6.5
for your service.
with 1 year in Afghanistan. One of the first projects that I worked on, it was with another AmeriCorps member in the beginning of the year. We researched cannabis laws in other states. We researched state level, county level, and township levels. Not many states have down to township level, unfortunately. After researching all those states, we compiled one report between me and the other AmeriCorps member, and I presented that to the cannabis work group, and then that has also been shared with other counties as well, correct? Because they liked the research so much. Kayla also will be using that in future cannabis prevention and implementation activities. The states that we did research are all listed there, as you can see. I also worked on the Community Partner Assessment Committee with Emma, and I believe Julie was on there too. And then, so Benton County's job was to do the branding of the report. So I took the report from a Word document and transferred it over into Canva and made sure that everything was in the correct CMA coloring. And then, as you can see, all the tables and stuff like that, I made sure that they were legible, that they were readable, and they weren't blurry or anything. Also, I worked with Yassine, who's an AmeriCorps member at Stearns County. He developed this one-page document from the CPA report, just so that if somebody didn't want to read the full report, that they would hit the main topics from the report into this one-pager. I sat down with Yassine and worked with him to make sure that all the information that he wanted on there was correct, and then I made it more appealing, as you can see. One of the projects that I'm currently working on is immunization vaccination rates within Benton County. So this was brought to my attention just, as a nurse, it is kind of a important thing for me to make sure that people are vaccinated, and just wanted to get an idea as to what those vaccination rates are out in Benton County. So I did have a sit down with the Minnesota Immunization Information Connection, also known as MIC, to get that information from them. The top graph there from the Excel spreadsheet, the one that's all nice and pretty and colorful, sorry, was the original report from them. I then took that report and I broke it down into the second report there that you can see, comparing years, because they gave me a 5-year gap. And so I compared the rates from, as you can see, like the early childhood, the 2017 versus 2021. And then they also gave us states, so we compared Benton to the state levels as well. They gave us early childhood vaccines, adult vaccines, middle child, adolescents, 13 and 17-year-old. So there was quite a few different aspects of vaccines. This is one that I've been currently working on as well. It's a community faith outreach project. It has come to the attention that we have a disconnect with faith community out there with projects or services that we here at the county offer. So we wanted to get the word out of our services to the community of the faith leaders. And so I developed all of these handouts, and then as you can see on the top 4, those are public health programs. On the bottom, I worked with the Human Services Department and developed handouts for their services as well. I then had a meeting with Pastor Doug at the Waters Church in Sartell. He is my pastor, and he was very receptive to the handouts, and he actually also took them to his monthly leadership meeting, where there's 30 other leaderships there, and he handed those out to them, and they took it out to their churches to hand it out to the community. This is a project that's in the works currently. It's called the Resource Bank. So this project was started as many people and also departments all have their own resources, and some departments may not know about a resource that another department will have. So this project is to bring all those resources into one area. So it is still in the drafting process, and the goal is to have the resources for all of Benton County employees to help the public. There are many categories such as housing, veterans, family support, social security, so many categories. So what the goal is that somebody within Benton County, any employee, could go into this resource bank and search. Say somebody came in from the public and said, I need help with housing. They would just put the word housing in, and all of the resources for housing would show up, and they could just print them from there and hand them to the person. Ready? And then I have also attended some outreach events, not as many as Tina, but this is one of the first ones that I went to. This was the Project Connect. I also went to the St. Cloud Stand Down for veterans to get information actually for the resource bank to bring back. And then I also recently on the 8th of March attended the A to Z mental health event for the Central Minnesota Suicide Prevention Coalition. All right, you ready?
Sorry. No, you're okay. Okay, so thank you for being so patient. We are almost done, halfway there. So now we're going to be introducing some of the projects that we worked on together. So this one is called there's a lot of acronyms, but it's the College of St. Benedict and St. John University Nursing Student Disaster Simulation. So we have some photos of Tabitha and I. We definitely look beat up and bloody, but don't worry, it's just makeup. We partake on this natural disaster simulations for the nursing students. So what had happened was we had to dress up with bloody clothes and have makeup and look like we were injured. And the nurses would come around and assess us, and we would have a lanyard with vital signs, and we would have to act our part. And as you can see in the photo here, we have Caleb, our program coach, and Yasin, also another AmeriCorps member from Stearns County, and then myself and Tabitha. And then here's some awesome photos of us reenacting our role as patients and victims at the scene.
So these pictures, so the scenario was that there was a tornado that hit, and they needed to come in and assess the patients to see who needed help first, who could wait, who was impending death of those people. And so the middle picture you see, that is my point of view on the floor. That's, as you can see, it's dark, foggy, there's things everywhere, people walking around, people laying, people screaming. I myself was one of those people screaming, yelling about a scissors in my leg. And then the other two pictures are out in the hallway where as they were assessing, another tornado was coming in and they had to evacuate patients. And then when they got the patients out there, they had to see who would be able to get on the ambulance and get out. So as you can see, we have people on the floor, and we, personally, I had like I said, a scissors in my leg. I was screaming, I was yelling, had somebody pull the scissors out of my leg and determine if they could figure out what to do after that to see if they needed to do anything. So it was a pretty fun experience. Another one we are currently working on, it's kind of an ongoing one, is monthly health topics in the public health and human services. So for each month, we or every 2 months, every other month, we will pick a choice of topic. And the first one that we chose is out in the hallway over by the Public Health and Human Services waiting room. It's in the hallway. We chose the Heart Healthy, or Healthy Heart, sorry. And this one was kind of close and dear to my heart just because nurse, I also like the heart. I just love the heart. And so on this board, we put statistics and data. We put risk factors, prevention, resources, and a couple fun facts out there, including, did you know that heart attacks happen more on a Monday? That's a pretty fun fact there.
Good thing it's Tuesday.
And then for me, this is the board that I created. It's the dental hygiene board. This is also in the waiting room of the human service. So if you guys ever stop by, take a look at it. For the month of February, we chose dental hygiene, which is also known as National Children Dental Month. And fun fact, as I mentioned before, I'm also a part-time reservist in the Navy, but I'm also a dental assistant, so I know a lot about teeth. So it makes sense that I did a dental hygiene board. But yeah, if you guys have the chance, definitely take a look at it. Oh, go ahead. No. Oh, you want to come back afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, no worries. And then we also created a human service and public health newsletter board. So with any news update, announcements of any kind, you can definitely find this board on the outside of the break room on the first floor. The purpose of this is to encourage a space for building connections and sharing information across different departments.
So for the month of April, we are already working on the boards. The one in the hallway, we chose mental health. That is to focus on the importance of having a healthy mental health and to prevent further actions of people who have a bad mental health. The one for the waiting room, we are choosing National Physical Fitness and Health Board for children. For that, we've chosen this because it's an importance of the physical activity and why it is healthy for our overall health. this is another one of the first things that I've worked on with Tina and the other AmeriCorps member is the Central Minnesota Alliance survey handouts. We placed roughly 200 to 250 flyers throughout businesses and handing out to people to get the word out to have this survey taken. As you can see, there was 3 versions, the English, Somali, and Spanish versions. And so we did have all 3 of those versions with us when we were handing those out.
So this is a photo of Benton County, and we split the county into 3 sections for me, Tabitha, and the other previous AmeriCorps member to go out to the community and hand out surveys. Usually once we were done handing out with our own sections, as you guys may know, towards the East St. Cloud and South Rapids is a lot more busier than the rest of Benton County. So once we were done with our own section, we helped each other with the other sections. And for me, I had the lovely opportunity to help assist the elder population in filling out the paper forms and survey. So I actually went to an assisted living and gave paperback version of the survey and helped them out and filled the survey by answering questions and providing guidance. Roughly assisted about 20 elderly individuals with the survey.
So this is another project that's very near and dear to both of our hearts. It's the Central Minnesota Suicide Prevention Coalition. This is where we attend monthly meetings with them, and we go to volunteer outreach to just get the word out of mental health and the 988 Lifeline. This is a picture of the booth that I worked at the A to Z Mental Health. And as you can see, I also order 988 material for the building, and I pass that out throughout the Human Services and Public Health departments. As you can see, there's pop sockets, there's magnets, there's little strips that you can help with stressing, there's pictures, safety plans, so anything and everything that people could do. We also, just today when I walked in, received yard signs. So if anyone is interested in obtaining one of these, you are more than welcome to reach out to me via email or at extension 5342.
All right, so another project that we've worked on is Building Equity Through Action. One of the main events that we do through Building Equity Through Action is the Dine and Dialogue that happens about 3 times a year. It takes place in the St. Cloud Library space. And the purpose of this committee is basically to bring equity to the community by shining lights on barriers and conversations about what the community needs to accomplish their day-to-day activities and their overall health and well-being. So Tabitha, there's a lot of different committees within the Building Equity Through Action, but Tabitha and I are on the health committee. So our committee focuses on meeting quarterly to promote events like Dine and Dialogue. Last year, as you can see here, we have a flyer on the left side hand here that took place over the summer on July 13th, 2024, and then some of the photos are in the middle. And then on the far right side, we have the Health Equity Fair with Jacqueline, I, and a few other community health specialists. And we had a lot of vendors. In the bottom right photo is all the people that came out to the fair.
All right, so the Gold Star Family Project. Not sure if many people know what a Gold Star Family is, but a Gold Star Family is a title given to spouses, parents, and children of military service members who have died as a result of military service. In this picture, we have the Gold Star Family Monument located in Zimmerman, Minnesota. The American Legion had put that up. The Gold Star Family Memorial Monument are 2-sided tributes made of black granite. On one side bears the words Gold Star Families Memorial Monument, a tribute to Gold Star families and relatives who sacrificed a loved one for our freedom. On the other side of the monument, there are scenes etched on each of the 4 panels: homeland, family, patriot, and sacrifice. At the center of this tribute is a silhouette of a saluting service member, which represents the legacy of the loved ones who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom.
Okay, so this project basically stemmed from Central Minnesota Suicide Prevention Coalition. With the connection with other stakeholders, this idea was sparked among other organizations. Really, the reason why we wanted to create Gold Star Families was that there was a concern that was brought up about the lack of resources available for friends and family after 1 year losing their military family member. So our goal is to create a community-based initiative and resources for friends and family who have lost a military member after the 1 year mark. So as of right now, we are currently brainstorming ideas on how to find resources and data pertaining to existing and affected veterans and their friends and family. Basically networking with other resources and organizations on how to get this wheel rolling. So upcoming events for this week, if you guys are available, March 20th, it's a dental varnish at Foley Elementary, as I mentioned before. Kayla and I will be there, so if you guys want to stop by and see us working in action, you definitely can. And then also this Saturday, March 22nd, we have the Foley Community Expo Connect event, also in the Foley School District. So if you guys have the availability, definitely come see us. And lastly, I just want to say there are a lot of projects that are being done behind the scenes that we aren't able to portray in this PowerPoint. But I just want to say thank you for giving us your time and the opportunity to present to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so then also lastly, thank you to the board for giving us AmeriCorps members the opportunity to work along and gain experience through the Benton County Public Health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Nice job. So this was just a really good portrayal of the breadth of public health and the capacity that we've been able to build in our public health department. All of the projects that they mentioned, working out in community, changing the environment and the systems and creating resources and working with these different committees. This is all work that we wouldn't have been able to done had we not partnered with AmeriCorps and got this extra capacity. So just a huge thank you to AmeriCorps for allowing this programming. Thank you to the board for supporting us to have AmeriCorps members. It's been very impactful to our community and just the uptick and the reach that we've been able to do with our schools and community partners. So really appreciate that support, and I really appreciate and want to thank Tina and Tabitha for all of their hard work and dedication to our public health department. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
You can hand it right back over to the board.
I can?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll reconvene the county board, and Chris Bird is up next.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
It's still morning, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. Thank you for amending the agenda with a revised resolution. And I would like to bring that up just to have it on the screen here. And then I have the document with pictures. We always like pictures too. So this time of year, we always like to take the opportunity, and I should maybe make sure I'm sharing this as well. To update our bridge resolution. This resolution, once adopted, will be shared with the state bridge office. Here we go. And this is used to determine funding needs across the state. So this resolution doesn't guarantee that we'll get funding for our bridge replacement projects, but is the first step into receiving federal funds. Or not federal funds, or state funds. Some of these bridges were successful in receiving federal funds. So the difference between this resolution and last year was that we added two bridges at the bottom. This bridge L0043, which is County Road 59 over Bunker Hill Creek, and bridge number 05504, which is CASA 7 over the branch of the Rum River. So those were two bridges that got added to this. These are all bridges in our county that need to be replaced and haven't occurred yet. But since we were updating the resolution after I submitted the agenda request, my assistant looked at it and thought, why don't we go ahead and update the total project costs since we have some of these bridges in design now, we have better estimates. So I wanted to point those out. One of them was this bridge 05518, this County Road 51 bridge over the St. Francis River, just southeast of town here. Originally, it was in the resolution estimated to be $731,500 total project cost. Now we know that's closer to $1.1 million, a little over $1.1 million to replace that bridge structure. The good news is that we are receiving a little over half of that in federal funds, and we're anticipating that we can get some state bridge replacement funds to pick up the local match. The next one right below that, similarly, it was estimated to cost $754,000. We now know that that's closer to $1,124,000, but also receiving federal funds for that. We updated this bridge. We think that's going to be closer to a little over $1 million, as well as CSA 12. So that's what we're kind of seeing as the futures, and we have these span structures. We're getting to a mode where we're replacing bridges, not just box culverts anymore, and it's going to cost about $1 million a bridge to replace those. And then, like I said, the two bridges that we added. This is going to be a box culvert, most likely, just because the nature of the stream and the flows there. Unfortunately, CSA 7 is a bridge today. It will need to be replaced with a bridge in the future. So I did want to share some pictures of why those bridges got added. So we completed bridge inspections. This is the one on 59. Interesting structure. If you can tell in the picture, there's an old concrete structure right here that was built in 1930. And then in 1971, they constructed a wooden box culvert extension on this project or this bridge. These timbers are deteriorating. There is noticeable deflection in the roof of the structure, and they're starting to separate, allowing sediment and fill to seep in between them, water to go outside of the structure and saturate the subgrade. So that's the concern. When you see wicking up of the moisture up into the wood, that's when you know that the waterproofing has failed on it. And so the wood now is actually wicking moisture up from the water line up into the timbers. So that's what's making this one eligible for replacement. So kind of a unique structure that there was an old concrete structure in the middle that's going to be 100 years old by the time this gets replaced. But this timber structure is what's really driving needing to be replacing the whole thing. There's just some pictures of the concrete. The concrete has gotten aggregate that's starting to pop out, so it's not in the best condition either. There's another good picture of where that timber is separating. So, and that's underneath the roadway. So this structure is posted. No overweight loads are allowed. It is a gravel road, but even a single unit, 24 tons, so 48,000 pounds is the max you should be driving across this. So you shouldn't be really driving probably a fully loaded dump truck, tandem truck across that. Yeah. Just some more pictures of that. That's the surface that you see on top of it. So you see that the load posting signs are right next to the structure there. Here's the next structure. So this is CSA 7. What we're looking north here is CSA 22 up here. An old restaurant, the Rum Shack, is right up here in the corner, just to give you context of where we're at. This structure was built in 1965. It was a concrete channel span is what they called that back then. These are known now to have a lot of issues with the bottom of this concrete spalling off and exposing the reinforcing steel in it, and then that gets corroded. This is on steel piling. We also have greater than 10% loss in the thickness of the steel piling there at the water line. So that's what's driving this structure to be replaced. And there's just a zoom in of where that concrete's spalling out, exposing that uncoated reinforcing or rebar to salt and water. And when we start having thickness loss in that steel, that's when it becomes really concerning as well. So this structure was also repaired back in 2015 because we had deteriorated pile, or the thickness of the piling was deteriorated and corroded away then. So we had these plates welded on. Since that time, concrete has continued to spall out from that. So it's one of those things when you look at these structures, what are some repairs that we can do to them? Since this structure has already had some repairs done to it, it kind of leads you on the path that we should be looking at replacing this structure. So there's just a zoom in on the corrosion of the steel. And it's hard to tell, but we can see that it's thinner here than it is on either side of that. So you know that you've lost some of the strength out of that steel piling. This is what that pile looked like before we did the repairs in 2015. I mean, completely corroded through. That's why we had to weld on angle iron to kind of scab over that and support the bridge beam on top of it. So, but yeah, so once, like I said, once adopted, this resolution will be shared with the State Bridge Office. We, as county engineers, we were hoping for a bonding bill this year to provide some state funding to replace bridges across the state. Whether that's going to happen or not, we don't know. But yeah, I mean, look, that list keeps getting longer before it gets shorter. All these structures are eligible for state bridge replacement funds if there was state funds available. So, any questions I can answer about bridges or how they're funded or these structures in particular?
Any questions?
Motion to approve the priority resolution, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve the priority resolution. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for the great news.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I had, unless there's any other questions.
Chris, are you able to hang out for a minute or so after the meeting?
I can. Yes, I sure can.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner meeting updates? Who wants to start?
I can start.
Sure.
We've had a few, but I'll just highlight the two. We had our criminal justice meeting, and everything. That was your first meeting you got to go to. What do we have? 30? Well, there was like 40 people in our jail at that day, correct? 7 female, and the rest were.
I believe so.
Yeah. So just an update on that. APO, we met. We're gonna be coming with the Beltline, the share of the environmentals and stuff. It's not the share of the construction or anything like that. But it's gonna be a cost share of whoever's jurisdiction it is, gets automatic 50% of that. And then the APO portion will be the other 50% broken up into our portions of what we would pay in the APO. So, and that's only for environmental.
Okay.
So, whenever it happens, but we all agreed that if this is gonna be a plan, we all gotta agree to this, and it can't change with our positions changing. We need to lock everybody in so that this is a plan all the way through. So, that's really about it. Is anybody going up to the leadership deal?
Planning on it.
Yeah, I'm planning on it. I don't know.
So, that's the next AMC deal for me, but that should be good.
All right, I can go if you like. March 10th at a Judicial Ditch 1A meeting with Mille Lacs and Sherburne County. I can't go into a whole lot of detail there, potential litigation going on. March 11th, I sat in on the second day of interviews for the ditch inspector at Highway. Also attended the St. George annual meeting that afternoon and the Maywood annual meeting that evening. 13th, BEP had a seminar on tax increment financing and tax abatement. I attended that at St. Cloud State. And that evening had a planning commission meeting, which was referenced earlier with Roxanne. And then yesterday had a legislative update through the Minnesota Rural Counties It was a virtual meeting that was attended. Representative Schultz, our local representative, presented for about a half hour or so on his updates as he saw them. So that's it.
Go ahead.
On March 4th, a few of you were in that, was a Benton County Hazardous Mitigation training meeting. And then on March 6th, I sat in the Sheriff's Department Communications. If some of you have not done that, I highly recommend it. It was very interesting.
What time of day were you there, Pam?
I went, well, my intention was 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. because I thought that's where I'd get the most out of everything, and I ended up staying till midnight. So it was interesting.
Cool.
And then March 11th, I had a Minden Township annual meeting, and March 12th, I had a MICA meeting in the cities and a joint Powers, Minden, and St. Cloud meeting on that day also, and they are currently going through their reassessment of their orderly annexation to the city of St. Cloud. And then I had the Minden Township meeting that evening. And March 13th, I had the Criminal Justice and a Career Solutions meeting.
Okay. I had ditch interviews. I thought we had a couple of really good candidates in the first day. I don't know what you had the second day. And then there was some that were, yeah, maybe. Township meetings, I attended 2 of them. And then we had MICA. And I thought MICA was interesting or was pretty much not much happening until we got the Health and Human Services. And you started adding up. And there's a $460 million surplus. And Health and Human Services thinks that they should be awarded $140 million of that. So I thought that was like, yeah, probably not going to happen from the Health and Human Services. You know, if one sector wants that much of, you know, roads and everything else, I thought that one. But I thought there was a lot of good things that come out. One thing I got an email the other day is that the sharing bill is still alive. So like, if Stearns County gets to put their tax, you know, in their jail, they have to share with counties or cities around them because we're donating to something that's basically in that county. And Commissioner Sojan from Rochester gave an example that when Rochester wanted to build this stuff, the cities around there got to share, and that was how they actually came to support it.
Off their local option sales tax?
No, off their, like, their sales tax for the jail, they would have to share
okay.
with other counties that, you know, on a basis of how much you contribute. You know, not all of it, but a percentage of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. And so I contacted Representative Schultz to see if it's still alive, or I'm sure Stearns County's not gonna want to share.
They're already past that ball though.
Yeah, right. But I mean, the sharing bill is still alive. I thought it would probably die because of that. So I had that, and then I went to the Little Rock watershed meeting in Rice with the irrigators, and wow, that was good.
DNR there?
No, actually the DNR one, but that company they hired out of Fargo Moorhead to present the plan was, and they're not gonna do anything now till November because of, you know, crop planting time and harvesting. They just can't get them all there to the table. That's where I heard a lot about, you know, how this public hearings and the meetings we're gonna have for this is crazy. It's right during crop planting time, so I got a good earful from them. And that was all that I had. Comments by commissioners, general?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to make sure we keep this airport authority on our radar, because from my standpoint and mine alone, I will not support this board unless we have a taxpayer, or I'm sorry, a elected official on that board.
Okay.
I mean, I know Monty's looking at something, but I can't see, that's another taxing organization that we're all gonna take the brunt of.
Right.
And I get it, what happened in the past, but I don't want it to blow over, because I wanna make sure we keep this in our forefront.
Mm-hmm.
I think the airport is a important asset to the area, but at what cost? We need to stay on top of that. There's a lot of aging, equipment, a lot of aging tarmac that we're all gonna be on the hook for.
Right. Not only that, but I think there's a lot of revenue there, potential revenue that they're not seeing. They're just
Yep.
kind of looking the other way, is my take.
I feel like, sometimes I feel like maybe they came in, they took the brunt of the issues or our attacks at them, and then now they feel like it's,
Done.
we're done, and no, I wanna make sure that, and I know, Monty, you got meetings with them coming up.
Can I just give you an update? So I had a meeting yesterday with Bruce Messel, and Bruce is the administrator for Sherburne, and then Mike Williams. And I was not able to extract from them a commitment of a meeting of 2 commissioners from each of the counties. The idea of having, what's the term, non-voting members, county commissioner representatives to the airport authority was discussed. And let's see what else. Sounds like the airport authority has not yet met with Sherburne County, so they're awaiting an issue. It sounds like from Sherburne, this issue isn't perhaps quite as big a deal. One thing I heard is that, did they get 2 new board members in November?
No, one.
Just one? I just heard from Bruce that, well, they've had some change in the county board, and that maybe has affected their approach to this. My impression from Stearns is that there's not a consensus on this issue, far from it. So
That there's not.
There's not a consensus on this issue.
Oh, that's not what,
That's not
I've
what
been
we
hearing.
hear.
Well, I hope their administrator has a good read on his county board, but maybe not. I don't know. So,
Well, from my standpoint, and my standpoint alone, I would like to move it forward to get out of the agreement then. And we need to have a discussion on that.
So again, the idea I heard primarily floated from Stearns was, again, the notion of having non-voting representatives from each county in the city to the airport authority, and not necessarily opening up the joint powers agreement and changing the composition of the authority. So anyway, like I said, my direction was to just simply to ask for a meeting of 2 commissioners from each county. I'm sorry I was not successful.
So Monty, you're appointed.
Yep.
Mike is appointed.
Yep.
And Bruce is appointed.
Of course.
And and people are saying that we don't want to have 2 elected officials get together and talk about this from each county. Unacceptable.
Sounds like there needs to be a refresher conversation with
Yeah.
Stearns and Sherburne.
People work for us, not the other way around. We are
again,
asking.
My ability to control what they do is very limited.
I know.
Absolutely.
So I can ask, but they're free to say no. So again, I didn't get a commitment.
Well, then we'll get with our commissioners.
Yep, we will.
Well, do you want to have some kind of communication via letter to those respective county board chairs and saying, look, hey, you'd like to have a meeting, some kind of communication.
Yeah.
To their board chairs. Is that something you're open to?
We can't just make a call to them.
Well, absolutely. Whatever you think is most efficient.
See them next week. So.
Because I'm in communication with Stearns County Board Chair every other day, it seems like.
Is that Commissioner Bertram?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I can make a text right now and I can get an answer from him.
I mean, we kind of know the makeup of their boards, except maybe Sherburne County ain't
Well,
quite as-
Sherburne is Gary Gray, right?
Gary Gray, and then they got one new one that you can pretty much read, and
But he would definitely want to get together and at least talk about this.
I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm
miffed.
I'm looking at Sherburne County's board, and I would find it hard to believe that they wouldn't want to get together and talk about this.
Yeah, I do too, especially after past conversations.
Well, yeah, several conversations at other, so I'm not opposed to Monty sending a letter to their board chairs so that maybe that is read out at their meeting and they can get a sense of what they want to do rather than talking each individually to every, because my understanding, we're all getting the same answer when we talk to them.
Yeah.
And why we're getting a different answer from their administration is beyond me. But I'm not opposed to sending a letter to their board chair to let them know that communication is being made
I look
by
at it this
our
way,
chairs.
Monty's tried.
Yeah, right, we can't.
Now we should be able
Now
to
we'll
just,
take it over.
yeah, we'll just take it over.
Yep.
You're off the hook for now.
Yeah.
Hey, okay.
It just, I don't understand this. It just goes back to unelected officials making decisions for elected officials that have to
Right, abide by it.
abide by it. I'm tired of it. I mean, I hate to be like this, Monty. It just, and I know you tried.
Yeah, again, I was just attempting to fulfill your direction
Yeah.
and get a meeting set up. That was it.
So we'll work on it from there.
Yeah.
And the discussion quickly got into sort of like solutions or whatnot, and I just wanted to set up a meeting. That was
Right.
it, right?
Yeah.
So
That's why we want those elected officials together to come up with solutions.
So Monty, are our people that we appoint to the board, is that renewable every year or just when terms?
they do have, I believe they have 3-year terms. They have three-year terms, if I recall correctly.
But correct me if I'm wrong, it's like any other board that we appoint. You can unappoint people.
That is true. The enabling resolution allows the appointing counties to remove them. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I think we need to have a cow on this as soon as possible.
Okay.
And we need to figure out the direction of the county board because as we know, there's a tax deal coming,
Yep.
$1 million bucks.
It's gonna have to come sooner than later in order to get it on, in the county's budgets.
But what follows that one is even scarier.
This isn't a one-time thing.
No.
Who?
May I suggest that we have our conversations with the other boards?
Yes.
In the next week or so and go from there.
I think that's really important to sort of get to the bottom of it is, what is the general consensus of the Stearns board, the Sherburne board?
Yep.
What I heard yesterday was quite different than what it sounds like you are hearing. And we got to get to the bottom of that. Where do these folks stand on this issue? Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think Stearns has their own issue with some of this stuff going on, so, I mean, I can get with Commissioner Bertram pretty easily.
He's the chair.
Well,
correct?
and I think that, most of us will touch base this next week.
Yeah.
With both counties,
Right.
because they
We're
will
gonna
be
see 'em.
at the leadership summit.
We're going to see.
Does somebody want to handle Sherburne?
Yeah, we can talk to them up there. I'll talk to
talk
both
to
of them.
I'll talk to both.
Oh, yeah,
boards
we can
when I
talk to
need
them.
so.
We'll see.
Why don't we see if we can't have a meeting up there?
Maybe we should see if they're going first.
We're already listed as a cow, aren't we?
Yes, we do have those listed as committees of the whole. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's plenty of time in the evenings.
The thing about it is, though, is the posting is restricted to the subject of the conference. If you want to have discussion about a different subject, you need to include that in the posting.
Why don't we see if we can't get these boards to
Agree to that?
agree to 2 people? At least, and then we'll revise
If it's
that.
2, then you're obviously fine. You don't have a
When
quorum.
do we have
so
to post it by then? Friday?
3 days prior, not including the day of the meeting.
Monday.
Yeah, because we could do the meeting Thursday night. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because they'll have to post too.
They'll all have to post, yeah.
Okay. Set committee of the holes?
None.
I just have one change for you. As you have a previously scheduled committee of the whole on March 25th to talk about that road program, I would like to add to it some discussion about human resources staffing. I let Chris know that I'd like to discuss that issue first at 8:30, and then the rest of the meeting can be on the road program. So it shouldn't take more than 15, 20 minutes to talk about HR staffing. That's the only change that we have, Mr. Chair.
Move for approval of that,
change.
to that change.
Second.
Second been motion been made and seconded to approve the change of the 25th cow. All in favor?
Aye.